Jamieson starts a new over, round the wicket to Stokes. He pushes it to the offside, that'll be his half century. He's hit it square of the wicket, it's running up to the grandstand, being pursued by a fielder, and Ben Stokes, his first game as full-time England captain, raises his bat to an ecstatic Lord's crowd. They're all on their feet, punches gloves with Joe Root. Look at this crowd. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Lord's for the fourth and surely the final day of this first Test match between England and New Zealand. So brilliantly poised, but yet on such a drab and dreary morning. It's a really weird contrast, and we'll get the weather forecast for you in just a second. The main news is that it isn't raining at the moment. It has done, and I think over much of the country that rain has moved north, as it were. So it's really fingers crossed here that we can get through this morning. It's very low cloud, the floodlights are on and so on, but the crowd coming in expectantly because it is tantalisingly poised. England, as we know, needs 61 more runs to win. New Zealand need 5 wickets. Joe Root or bust, it just feels like it. He played so well yesterday for his 77 not out. He and Folkes have put on 57, with Folkes on 9 not out. But as we know, there's not much batting to come after this. There might even be a little bit of juggling of the batting order. There's some talk of maybe of Stuart Broad already leapfrogging Potts, and then Anderson and Parkinson. So this is a crucial partnership. The new ball is 15 overs away. All these things you throw into the cauldron, into the mix, and you get this wonderful feeling of expectation. As I say, on this rather drab and dreary Sunday morning otherwise, let's call in Chris Fawkes immediately for an update. Chris, it's a funny old morning. Good day to you.
Yes, indeed, Aggers. We had the heavy rain overnight, didn't we? That's all cleared through, as you said. But when I was outside just earlier on, I could feel the slightest bit of drizzle. Yes. Not even enough to wet your skin. I don't know whether they'd stop play for something like that, but we could get something like that just for the first hour or two, just with that really low cloud that you're mentioning. It will pick up a little bit. Probably get a few brighter spells later on in the afternoon. But then towards southwest England, I know it's a long way away from Lord's, but we're going to start to see a weather front develop here during the early part of the afternoon, and rain will eventually creep towards the London area. Will it get here towards the end of play? Well, maybe, but hopefully we won't need to go that far anyway. We'll keep a lot of cloud, mind you, today. Temperature about 18 degrees Celsius, where we do see a few brighter spells just poking out for a time. And we'll keep the winds in a light northeasterly direction. That's how things are looking today.
Excellent. Well, I hope I'm rolling out the barrel by the time that comes into the southwest.
Fingers crossed.
I've got hopes on our village party. Thanks ever so much, Chris. And that doesn't sound too bad, but it is absolutely, it is misty and mizzly, and that sort of indescribable dampness that you get sort of lurking in the atmosphere. But we are going to start on time, and the ground staff are running their rope around at the moment on the back of their buggies. A heavy roller is loitering there, ready to do its bit. The New Zealanders loosening up some bowlers there and so on. So we are set to go, and it will start on time unless it is actually raining at the time. And the fourth umpire I can see with an umbrella, but it's tightened up, it's rolled up, and it is not unfurled. So all being well at the moment. Fingers crossed, all will be well to get this exciting match concluded. Let's get the mood in that England camp then. Alison Mitchell has been speaking this morning with Jimmy Anderson.
Well, Jimmy, 61 runs versus 5 wickets. Given the way this match has seesawed, how are the confidence levels versus the nerves?
I think a mixture of both. I think the confidence is there. We've seen that it's not an impossible task to bat on this wicket. There's obviously nerves there because we've seen how this game's ebbed and flowed, and we've been behind the game at times. We've had to fight our way back in, and we've been on top at times as well. And New Zealand have fought their way back, so I don't see anything different this morning. It'll be 2 teams battling hard to try and get over the line, but we've just got to try and do it however we do it. Whoever is there at the end, we just want to try and get over that line.
What's the approach got to be with the bats, given as well that a new ball, 15 overs away, and we saw the damage that Stuart did with that?
Yeah, well, obviously the new ball's good key, I think. And obviously, I think with these conditions, the lights are on, there's low cloud. It could be in favour of the bowler this morning, so it's down to the 2 out in the middle to try and battle the way through. If they do get opportunities to score, then try and pounce on them. And obviously if we can get over the line without facing that new ball, then that would be ideal. But if we get to that new ball, then might just have to manage our way through that because it could be quite tricky, as we saw yesterday.
Does that make it doubly important that Joe Root is still there should that point come?
Well, yeah, obviously we'd love Joe to be there right the way to the end. You always want your sort of senior batter or senior player to be there at the end and try and help everyone through. But as I said, if whoever's there at the end, we're all, however many are left of us, 5 I think, or 4 to come, we'll just battle our way through, try and get there if we can.
How have you enjoyed bowling throughout this Test match, and in particular being on the field for that crazy spell with those 3 wickets falling yesterday?
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, it's been a great Test match. We've absolutely loved playing in it. As I said, there's been lots of ups and downs, but that's Test cricket. That's the beauty of it. And yesterday, being on the field for Stuart's over, with lots happening, him stirring up the crowd, and it's as loud as I've heard Lords for quite a while. So it was amazing to be a part of that.
Is it a timely reminder of what the two of you still have to offer after you didn't feature in the West Indies?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're just both delighted that we've been given an opportunity to play, and we're going to enjoy every single minute of it and try our best, try and take wickets and win games of cricket for England. That's all we want to do. Try and enjoy it as much as we can, as we have done so far this week.
What about with the bat, Jim? Have you ever hit the winning runs at a Test match or at Lords even?
I don't think I have. I don't think I've ever.
Are you prepared for it potentially?
I've never hit the winning runs. No, so as I said, we're all sort of, confident that we can get the job done. However we do it, however scrappy it might be, however difficult it might be, and whoever's there at the end, we want to get over that line. So we'll all be trying our very best.
And as seesawing and as crazily entertaining as this match has been, you bowlers haven't had much rest because of the batting. Is that still a problem for this team going forwards?
The rest or the batting?
The combination.
No, I think I feel like we're definitely going in the right direction. It's been difficult for both teams to bat on this wicket in the first innings. I think, as we've seen, it's got slightly easier as the game's gone on to bat on it. And I think we've showed signs of how we want to be as a team going forward. I thought the way Alex Lees and Zach Crawley in both innings actually have been positive. The way they've any chance they've got to put pressure back on the bowlers, they've taken it. If they get a loose ball, they'll pounce on it, and they've been really positive with that. So I think that's a really good sign going forward, and hopefully we can just build on that. As
a final thought for you, another new coach, you've seen a lot of new coaches. I think you debuted for England before Brendan did for New Zealand even. What has Brendan's presence done for you and his messaging to you?
Well, I think he's been great for everyone. He's very sort of level, and as we've been on a journey this week that's been really up and down as players, when the coach is that level, I think that really helps us. Just keeps us calm, keeps us really in the moment, focused on now. Today we come here, we forget what's gone on the first 3 days. We've got a task of getting 60 runs today, and that's all we're focused on and how to do that. And he's very keen on trying to make sure we do that, and it's been great so far.
Good luck today, particularly if you get out there with the bat.
Thank you.
Oh, there's such nervous times as a tail ender as well. They'll have to go out there and try and bat in this situation. And there'll be some very, very anxious numbers 8, 9, 10s and 11s. I've seen Stuart Broad heading purposefully for the nets earlier on, all padded up to go and get a little bit of practice. I think he might well be promoted, come out and play some shots, which I think would be a reasonable tactic. But then who knows when that is going to be, and we still don't know really how effective Potts' batting is at this level. So all of these unknowns and so on, it's going to be a really, really exciting morning. We hope the game will be done by lunchtime, I'd imagine, either way. So who knows? Jeremy Coney, good morning to you.
Good morning, Agus.
Have you got a little test match tingle about the sort of the climax of this?
Yeah, I like these games.
Yes.
I mean, you just see which people are able to cope with the pressure, don't you? And that's what you like to know, that you've got those sorts of people within the compass of your team. You value those people. If I had to favour anybody, I think probably England would be favoured. Why? Joe Root is there at the moment. Now, whether he can stay there, if he can get started again, once he does that, I think England will get enough runs to get close to this target before the new ball. Obviously, New Zealand, as far as they're concerned, they'll be wanting to take a wicket if they can prior to that, and they'd love it to be Joe Root.
Yeah.
I'd pick Jameson as one bowler because I think he looked the most threatening through that phase yesterday when the pitch was a bit more sedate. I think maybe Southey, because if anything, Jameson takes it back into the right-hander, and I'd like to have one going away. But you don't want too far away, do you? There's got to be enough catches in positions by Williamson, and I think that they've got to really keep away from leg stump. I mean, Joe, why Joe? Joe is because, okay, he came in at a time when the pitch was actually at an easier, so he had a good start. But he's also a player who at his best is orthodox, so he handles orthodox deliveries and puts them away, and he's a very good manipulator of a cricket ball. So
yes.
the runs keep coming, and I thought he played beautifully yesterday once Stokes went out, actually.
Yeah.
I thought he got enough runs and momentum about it that they are this close at the moment. So that's why I think Root is the key to the whole thing really this morning.
Yeah. Morning, Michael.
Good morning.
I'm promoting Broad to 8.
Yeah.
If folks were to get out, particularly because if we don't know enough about Matty Potts' batting, do we? But if he were to come in, or Anderson, or where it may be, and non-shot players, actually it'd be easier for Williamson to squeeze things and make it difficult for Root to manipulate the strike. He's got another thing to think about. Whereas if it is Broad, who we know can crash boundaries, it's going to be more difficult for Williamson to have that tight field to keep Root away from the strikers. So you have to have some men out.
Yeah, and boundary here is what you have to do as a captain in this situation, is protect the boundaries, so there'll be bigger gaps for the singles.
Exactly.
So that would be a good move. I was here at 8:45, and who did I walk past going to the nets with? Matthew Potts.
Oh, was he on his way?
8:45, he had a few throwdowns. There was John Lewis there, Marcus Trescothick. He looked very calm, but on debut in this situation, I think because the test match has ebbed and flowed, I wouldn't be surprised if it flows again and ebbs.
The twist.
I just feel it's just been an amazing week to watch. There's been some just incredible test match cricket. There's been some poor test match cricket,
yes,
particularly with the batting hand. But, we've had that, England start, the Kiwis bouncing back, then the Kiwis on top and England bouncing back. England now just on top. I wouldn't say they're completely controlling the game, but they are on top. And it wouldn't surprise me if New Zealand bounced back. I will say that if Joe Root's still there at 11:20, I think England will win the test match. New Zealand, if they get him inside the foot, and anyone, I don't care who you are, starting again the next day, the clouds are around, I put my hand on the pitch and it is cold. There is a little bit of something there, but they've got a ball that's 65 overs old, so that seems not quite as prominent, and I think that may just be the difference, that old ball that England have to face.
Vital first few overs, Jeremy.
Yes.
An early wicket.
Early wicket, excellent. That would make it more exciting, wouldn't it?
Could it be even more exciting than it is now, I wonder? Thanks, Jeremy. We'll catch up with you later on. The players are in the middle. And a touch of the gloves there between Folkes and Root as they approach the pitch. It is a bit brighter now. It still needs the floodlights for play to take place. Without those, we would not be watching cricket at the moment.
I'll tell you what I would do, though, if I was Kane Williamson. I'd offer the single to Joe Root.
Would you?
Yeah, just get him off strike and then really put the squeeze on Ben Folkes. Now, Joe Root is just a world-class performer. He's nearing 10,000. He's never got a fourth innings 100. And he's 23 away. And if he gets 3 figures, you've got to feel that England will win the test match. So if I'm Kane Williamson, I'm not going to be too scared of giving Joe Root a single. Because, you get Ben Folkes out and then you're into the tail.
Yeah, and suddenly 61 looks a long way away. No, I'd agree with that. And in fact, so does Williamson. So he's got a deep point, a deep square leg. There are 2 slips and a gully, but there are gaps there. Big gap at mid-wicket, for instance, square leg, and square in the offside where the ball often runs, where Root can get one. And then, yes, Folkes is that sort of batsman where you can bring the field in, actually. I mean, he's not a natural boundary hitter as such.
No, you try and force him to play that bigger shot, wouldn't you?
Indeed. He's at the non-striker's end. It'll be Root that faces the first ball. Crowd still coming in. No one wants to miss a ball this morning. Still waiting for the clock to tick around precisely.
I'll tell you what, I took a few of the team members to Tommy Banks next door. We had a nice full Monty.
Oh, for breakfast?
Oh, yeah, lovely.
Oh, okay.
Just in the restaurant there in the Edridge stand. It's Nick Compton, Alistair Cook, the cat.
The cat.
Macca, Craig McMillan joined us.
Good. 216 for 5. Here's the first ball then. Southey's bowling it, and Root immediately tickles the ball away around the corner. He'll want 2 if he possibly can. It's a long way for the fielder down there. He sends folks back. Good decision. It's Bolt down there in the deep.
Well, straight away, it's taken me 1 ball to just tell me Joe Root's going to go straight back to that tempo that he had last night. He kind of walked it. There, got his feet outside of off stump. There's a big space on the onside, so he's just trying to look to score on that onside. If he gets anything width, he played a couple of Robin Smith style cut shots over the top of the vacant third yesterday. Straight away proactive, and straight away Kane Williamson's folks on strike, squeeze. All the fielders in.
Well, he's faced 48 balls for his 9, and he's just simply happily played second fiddle. Of course, a supporting role to Root, but it does mean that you can bring those fielders in. But then the only time pressure that there is the new ball.
Yeah.
England would want this done if they can before that is taken. Southey's on his way, bowls, and folks plays his first ball carefully to mid-wicket. Gets a round of applause. He's better than that, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, you can sense the atmosphere that's here at Lord's today. But that's the only pressure of time, isn't it? The new ball. And New Zealand are going to try and have as much possible time as they can with that second new ball. England would rather dispense with it altogether. There's 15 overs.
Well, I reckon that New Zealand may get 10 runs to play with.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not going to be a great deal. But we saw yesterday Broad go bang, bang with the new ball. So you don't want to leave too many to get with that second new ball.
Southey bowls, and that's flicked by folks. Runs for him. There should be 2 here. The ball rolls up the slope towards the grandstand. Nice stroke. Little turn of the wrists as Southey drifted towards leg stump.
Well, there's nothing through the air so far. That's the first thing that I was looking for. Will it swing a little bit more with the low clouds? But the outfield is moist. There's been rain throughout the night.
Yep.
It's like when the ball gets a little bit wet. Generally doesn't do quite as much through the air. So far, it's gone gun barrel straight.
219 for 5. So England need 58 to win. And folks steps in again. He's over his bat. There's a man at short mid-wicket now. Southey over the wicket, bowls, and folks defends from the crease. Patel fields at cover. There's no run. And again, people applauding. Such excitement. I think how long people have been waiting. Have those tickets in their hand. I'm going to the Sunday of the Lord's Test match, and here it is. It's upon us. I doubt it'll be a long day by any means. In fact, it's possible. I suspect you might get a refund depending on how many overs are bowled today. So
that's true, isn't it?
You come and have an exciting finish and get your money back, or at least part of it. Southey bowls, and folks can play that comfortably enough on the back foot. It was too short.
Well, already inside the first 5 deliveries, I think Jeremy Coney, who's got it spot on, Jamieson's going to be the key. That extra height. He doesn't rely on movement as much as the likes of Southey, the likes of Bolt, because he can get the odd ball from that height just to go a bit lower or just get that extra bit of bounce.
You definitely want him bowling at the lower order ones, wouldn't you? Those that come next.
Yeah, well, I think Bolt will be a key for the lower order if they get to that.
Southey bowls, and folks again plays that very comfortably. Southey fields. 3 from the over.
See, I reckon Kane Williamson last night missed a trick. In the last hour, you think this partnership now, what's it at now, the partnership, Andy?
60. 60.
So 60.
Yeah,
so
16 overs.
So you've got 2 right-handed batters, and he's not bowled 1 over of the left-arm spin to the right-handed batter. From the nursery stand end, with the slope, while the partnership was just starting to develop, surely a few overs at the left-arm spin. I know Ben Stokes put him into the stand, but that's a left-hander.
Yeah.
To think that he's not bowled 1 ball to 2 right-handers. And it might have been that New Zealand may have nicked 3 or 4 more overs as well. And all right, it might have cost another few runs, but you can always go over the wicket or just nullify the scoring options. I'm amazed Kane Williamson just didn't turn to the spinner last night.
But he's got Bolt inevitably from the pavilion end.
So obviously Jamieson's going to come from this end.
Yeah.
He's going to replace Tim Southey, you would think.
Williamson, arms folded, very laid back, relaxed individual, and again they're going to put the man back at point. So Once more, there's a single for Root. Not everywhere. They haven't put everyone back, but certainly square both sides of the wicket. There are gaps, but they have got a short mid-wicket. That'll clip away off the toes. See if he can pick up a catch there. Bolt moves in and bowls to Root, who comes forward, plays the ball firmly out to cover, and there is no run.
I know you like your scores and from other leagues around the world. There's a T20 qualifier for the women's.
Excellent.
Nepal were playing the UAE.
One of the improving teams.
Yeah,
Nepal
won the toss, dry wicket, batted first.
As you would.
Yep, trying to get a score on the board. They scored 8.
8?
8, yeah, the UAE team knocked them off in 1.1 overs.
Excellent. So that's it.
Yep.
Stumps pulled out the ground.
That's it, done.
In comes Bolt outside the off stump. No stroke from Root.
But I know you'll like this one. This was a game, the Ranji Trophy is an eliminator, and it was Jagahan versus Nagaland. Now, from what I'm seeing, clearly Nagaland had to win because I think they finished below Jagahan and they had to beat them outright. So Jagahan won the toss and decided to bat first. You know, it was a good pitch. They scored 880.
Right.
Batting first. They bowled Nagaland out for 289, so they had a rather large lead. You'd think follow on. You know,
lead of about 600.
Yeah.
Here's Bolt's bowling and is defended by Root stoically out to cover.
But of course, they only needed the draw, so they decided to bat again.
Well, the bowlers might have been a bit tired.
Yeah, and
hot
in
day.
Second innings, they scored 417 for 6, match drawn. They were ahead by over 1,000.
That'll bring people back to cricket.
That's right, yes.
Well, I suppose inevitably that's what happens, isn't it? I mean, we did sort of talk about that with the World Test Championship, and if one team only needed to draw in order to win the trophy, actually it could produce perhaps not quite that sort of a game, but something like it. In comes Bolt, and it's sliced away down to third man. Runs here for Root, he'll get 2. As the man from deep point runs to his left, Root's made his ground. 221 for 5.
Yeah, and again, nothing through the air. There's no swing, just the angle from Bolt around the wicket. It's been a productive scoring area against Bolt, that kind of behind square on the offside.
Only a slip and a gully now. Still that short mid-wicket. Bolt again runs in, bowls to Root, who plays that so late and down into the gully where Southey fields. Well, I must be honest, having talked about this for the last few days, I dusted down my little television thing last night and I watched Tuffers with Brendan McCullum.
Oh, did you?
Brendan McCullum and Tuffers. It is actually it's a beautifully shot television programme because New Zealand is so pretty, and of course they're going around these golf courses. In comes the field. We've got 1 to go in this over. They'll want to keep Root at this end. Bolt on his way, moves in, bowls to him, and he gets it away. He beats the man there, who's been brought in from point. Certainly 2. Let's see if Folks can get a third here. No, he can't. So 2 runs taken, but Root will be off strike for the start of the next over, and England need 54 to win this game. Now they're 223 for 5, and I'm halfway through it. It is a sort of thing that you do binge. But if you want to get to know something about Brendan McCullum, I think it's a good programme to watch. It's a really lovely, laid back, just 2 blokes in the car chatting, playing golf, hacking around. But the loser has to pay a forfeit. And so far, Tuffers at golf actually is better than I thought it would be. He's more than a hacker. And unfortunately, however, he lost the first round, and so you do get, and I don't know where they put the camera for this, but when they launch him from the Auckland Tower with a bungee rope, there's this rather grotesque close-up of Tufnell's face as he's plummeting to earth. I mean, it is funny, and I saw Brendan this morning. I said I was watching it. He did say, I did feel a bit sorry for Tuffers because he obviously lost all the crucial ones, and as we know, he's got to pay some awful forfeits later on. But it does give you a really gentle insight actually into England's new coach. I do recommend it. It's great fun, and I did say to him today that if there's one thing I've learnt over the last 20 years or so, you do not underestimate Philip Charles Roderick Tufnell.
The cat.
You can play that foolish side all the time, but actually There's rather more to him than that. 2:23 for 5. In goes Jameson then. That didn't take long, and it's first ball's played out to mid-wicket. So Southey off after 1 over. And the big man is on. He's not quick. He's not a fast bowler. He's just got that awkward bounce. Such a tall man. And he can swing the ball.
Yeah, he's the key. He's just got that extra height, that extra ability to just extract anything from the surface. And you can see if he gets a couple of quick ones, the game's going to change quickly. But so far, again, there's just nothing through the air. There's no seam off the pitch. There's no shape through the air. There's no swing at all.
Long giant strides. He bowls at full and played firmly towards mid-on. Oh, that's brilliant half save there by Southey, flinging himself to his left. That saved a boundary. But they've taken 2. There's a good stroke as well from Folkes. He is a front foot player predominantly. He likes to drive, and that was a beautifully struck shot. 52 to win. Folkes 13 not out on this murky morning at Lord's, but the floodlights doing their jobs and ensuring that play can take place.
Yeah, I mean, the initial first couple of overs, you're always nervous that the ball might do plenty more than it was last night. But so far, if anything, it looks like it's coming onto the bat a little bit better.
I think a new ball will be doing a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Jameson bowls down the leg side, brushed away by Folkes. Again, can they get 2? Bolt comes sweeping in. He's got a terrific throw. Folkes is going for it. And the throw came in on the bounce, which took a lot of the pace off it. And so Folkes was home. Very good running. And now it's exactly 50 to win. 2 leg byes. Thank you, Andy. Good morning to you.
Morning, Agus. Just looking at Joe Root's masterful innings so far in 2 principal phases. Up to when Stokes was out, and since then he had 34 off 89 balls when Stokes was out. Since then, 48 off 49 balls, and he's scored off 29 out of those 49 balls. Well over half. Generally in Test cricket, you see maybe batsmen scoring off about a quarter of deliveries. It's been a notably varied innings in the way he's played.
50 to win. 2 slips a gully. Folkes raises his bat. Jameson lumbers in, bowls outside the off stump, and he hits it hard into the ground. Patel fields at cover. No run. Still people coming in. Dad over there with his young lad, I can see, helping him to his seat in the tavern stand. The Warner stand is virtually full, apart from a little bit at the bottom.
Not the members section. Not where the members go up there.
Well, whenever you say there's no one there, they'll say, well, we're inside because it's a bit chilly. So that might be the case. There's no breeze at all. The flag is hanging there by its pole above the grandstand. There's Jameson bowls, and that brings Folkes onto the front foot. Ball rolls down to mid-off where Kane Williamson picks it up. A 3-match test series too. You get an early win under your belt. It takes a little pressure off, doesn't it?
Oh, this is if England can get over the line here, when you think they won 1 in 17,
yes.
You just feel that they can really kick on from there, because they haven't played at their best by a long stretch. They've bowled great, but obviously the batting is still a huge concern. But if you can get that win.
Jameson bowls to Folkes, who watches that go through outside the off stump. It cut back a little, but it was starting too wide. And it's 227 for 5. So England haven't lost a wicket this morning. We're just tuning our way. Welcome to Lord's. We've had 15 minutes of play. Root is now 82 not out. Folkes is on 13. And there's 13 overs to go till the new ball could be taken. And England need 50 more to win.
12 overs.
Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong bit. You're right, 12 overs.
Yeah, 12 overs. So you need 50 more. So they're going to score at 3s at least, aren't they?
Really,
it's only going to be 10, It's
just that little bit. That's the only time thing, isn't it?
I mean, obviously, the 5 down by they've won the game. I can't imagine you're going to lose 5 wickets for 10 runs. But they're trying to change the ball, New Zealand. Yeah. It's going straight through that device, so there won't be a change at this stage.
No.
If the 7 down, still requiring 10.
10 to win.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is only the start of the start of this
And you
session.
know in sport how hard it is to get that when you've not won for such a long time.
In comes Bolt, and he bowls to Root. It's short, and he pulls it away into the leg side. A chase for Patel. Running around to his left. Oh, he's fumbled it a bit, and he had to dive. And in fact, he lost the ball completely there, hence the cheer. So it's an easy 2. I think it would probably always have been 2. But it's slippery out there, and he's just stamping down now on the divot.
Yeah, I just go back to last night. The fact that this pair have just faced all seam. It's remarkable. You know, last night, an hour ago, you know that Joe Root was up in the tempo.
I'm surprised that Mitchell didn't bowl either, actually, because he just bowls a nice little floaty medium pace. You've got to hit the ball. Bolt again outside the off stump, and Root, as he does, just waits to the last moment. The ball's almost past him when he plays that guiding shot down to square third man for 1.
From what I've seen already in the 4 over, it'd be worth putting the spinner on now. Just have a look. He can skim one onto the front of the pad from the nursery stand end. Joe Root might play a big shot. Folks might dash down. Can play the field. Now, Kane Williamson's captaincy, it's renowned for not using spin that often. He just doesn't seem to like to turn to his spinner. I guess de Grandhomme's been kind of the spinner role in this team for quite a while, where he just holds an end.
As mentioned, he's not on the field, by the way. He's still obviously got this heel problem, so let's hope he's all right for Trent Bridge. I haven't seen any news overnight regarding his fitness. 2:30 for 5. Bolt bustles in, he bowls, and Folks on the back foot plays that firmly, but it's cut off at point. The field coming in again for England's wicketkeeper batsman.
Which that highlight what Michael was saying. Ben Folks in his first class career has struggled against left arm spin, averages 26 against left arm spin, compared with over 50 against right arm spin, and mid to high 30s against pace.
In these conditions, you know, he could easily just get one to just skim off the surface.
DRS.
Yeah. Particularly when we've seen 4 overs of, it's just been quite nice.
Yeah, but it hasn't done anything, and
Batting
Bolt's
perspective.
coming over the wicket now, so he's going to change the angle, and so they're bringing in another slip here as he tries to push the ball across Folks. So 2 slips, gully's quite fine, no one behind them, so a little nick along the ground past Southey would be handy for England. In goes Bolt and bowls outside the off stump, and Folks watches it go through quite low to Blundell. Still grey and murky, no breeze at all. Looking at this, maybe the England flag is just flopping down there from the pavilion, but not much else. The lights are on within the pavilion. See the chandeliers there. 2:30 for 5. Bolt bowls. Folks forward again, head right over that. It's playing patiently, determinedly. It's 47 needed.
I think the over the wicket angle just looks a little bit more threatening with the ball doing nothing. You could just see him just getting one to go across or up the slope from this angle. 2 slips and a gully await that outside edge. Big space of extra cover available to Folks if he fancies the drive, but it comes at a risk.
Bolt again, the last ball of the over bowls, and Folks again plays that very, very confidently, getting onto the front foot. Bolt fields, and it's the end of the over. So we've had, 4 this morning. No wickets have fallen. I've done my job for the first 20 minutes or so anyway. 47 to win, 2:30 for 5. Michael, thoughts on you? And then Simon Mann's coming here.
Yeah, it's going to be Jamieson to carry on. Jamieson not opting to just try the spinner. Folks and Roots so far look very comfortable. You can see they're busy, they're running between the wickets hard, trying to make 1s into 2s. Kiwis at the minute just look like they're hoping for a mistake. It doesn't look at the minute to the eye that there's going to be many jaffers out there, any unplayable deliveries, so you are, as a fielding side in this situation, just hoping that you can force the error, force a mistake because of the pressure.
Good morning, Michael.
Morning,
well, it's
Sam.
still tense out there, but it's been a good first 20 minutes for England. Here's Root on 85. Jamieson goes in to bowl to him. Right arm over the wicket. Root nudges it into the onside for a single, short of mid-on. Southey comes in, can't prevent it. England ticking them off. They need 46 more, 5 wickets left, and Root on to 86. So this is so you're saying that bring the left armour on? Patel?
I'm staggered that, someone like Kane, who's such a wonderful player, that he's just not asked the question. This partnership has been fantastic for England, but they've not been asked the question to face a slow bowler yet.
Jamieson bowls to Folkes outside the off stump. Folkes leans forward. Good carry from Jamieson, as you'd expect with a bowler who's 6'8". Goes flying into the gloves of Blundell to just slightly adjust there.
And what is it doing for Patel? I mean, he's got 10 wickets in his last Test match in an innings. What's it doing to his confidence? Because he may throw him the ball in 15 runs' time. It'd be too late.
That was why it was so clever from Ben Stokes yesterday, wasn't it, to attack him, because it also forced them to bowl their 3 main bowlers, and they probably bowled a bit more than they wanted to, so they were a bit tired towards the end of the day's play. The runs came a bit quickly for New Zealand's liking. Jamieson bowls to Folkes outside the off stump. Nothing from Folkes again. And of course Root is a very good player, slow bowling as well. That's in the back of their minds, I'm sure.
Yeah, you just you can go through the whole Test match, and it'll be one of those weeks where I think both teams go, what if we'd have just batted a little bit better? I mean, New Zealand yesterday morning, they only needed another 40 or 50. Yeah. Well, another 40 or 50 on this, knowing that the second new ball's coming.
Well, I think about Patel's shot yesterday. Little moments in the game. Huge swipe, but he's quite a good defensive.
Yeah.
And he had a batter, and he had Southey at the other end who can score quickly. Jameson bowls to Folkes, full, driven by Folkes, not beating the man at mid-off, Williamson.
Yeah, you can say Patel, but you've got to say Colin de Grandhomme's dismissal.
And that one as well.
I mean, that's quite dozy.
Yeah.
First ball to be run out like that. That was obviously when all the action was starting and Broad was on that roll, and then he bowls a beauty to get rid of Jamieson. And New Zealand were right on the back foot.
231 for 5, 46 to win, 10 overs and 2 balls to go until the new ball. Jamieson bowls to Folkes outside the off stump, forced away, runs here, probably 4. Down towards the deep third boundary. It hits it now. Fielder about 10 metres behind. Nicely played by Folkes, guided away off the back foot. Finding the gap, running down the hill towards the tavern stand.
Yeah, nice shot. Again, just a little bit of width. It's that bounce, the straight bat, just lets it come to him, Ben Folkes. Just glides it into that vacant space.
Now the best of Folkes there takes him to 17, and England to 235 for 5, with 1 ball left of the 70th over.
It was the first boundary for 10 overs, but England have still managed to score at over 3 and over in that time.
If they score at 3 and over until the new ball, they will require about 10, 12 to win, something like that. Jameson goes in, bowls to Folkes. Folkes covers up, and a good stop at second slip. Excellent stop by Latham away to his right-hand side. It's played with soft hands by Folkes into the ground, guided away. But Latham died away and prevented the ball going for, well, possibly 4, but certainly 2. It could have been 3, so vital piece of fielding. So far, so good for England this morning. 235 for 5, 42 more required.
I'm just saying, if Ajaz Patel's warming up in any way, no. He's had no communication so far with the captain. It's got to be worth a try.
No de Grandhomme again this morning. He's out of the Test match with that heel injury he sustained yesterday. I mean, he had a wretched day. It's hard to make up his bad day, isn't it? Everything went wrong for him. The wicket off the no ball as well. If that hadn't been a no ball, I think the game would have been over yesterday. New Zealand would have won the match. Stokes reprieved. 235 for 5. Here's Bolt with a new over from the pavilion end. Bowls to Root. Root gets a thick outside edge on that, squared up. Diving save by Southey. Away to his right-hand side, moving round from sort of half gully, half slip, where he's got a 4th slip position. The field for Bolt, he's got a 2nd slip, a 4th stroke, 5th slip, a man at deep backward point, a cover and mid-off, that's on the offside, And then 2 men back on the leg side, deep back with square leg and fine leg. A mid-on and a short mid-wicket. Bolt turns, roaring into bowl to Root short, pulled away, controlled pull from Root down towards fine leg. We saw that so often last night. It's only a single. Jameson returns.
Well, you know what?
Root being tested out in the middle of the pitch, but guiding it and keeping it down. One more, 236 for 5.
It might be the way to go because there's no swing and there's no seam, so you might as well, ask a question of the England batters. Can you, play the pull shot and pat the leg side feel, almost like a Neil Wagner style feel. Wagner in this kind of attack. Wagner would have been so much better for the Kiwis this week if they weren't going to, they haven't used a spinner at all.
So just 5 seamers.
Yeah, well, at the start of the game, it'd been 6. It'd have been better this week than playing the spinner.
Bolt to Folkes, short ball. Folkes ducks underneath it. We did see Folkes take it on against Jameson yesterday evening, but not that time. Actually, he did have one look at Jameson, and then Jameson banged it in. And this second ball that he bowled short to me did take it on. And they're putting Patel back on the deep back of square leg boundary. Come up for that delivery. With Bolt bowling to Folkes. 236 for 5, 41 to win. The lights are on. It's overcast. In theory, good bowling conditions. But New Zealand are tantalisingly 9.5 overs away from a second new ball. Bolt sets off again, past umpire Goff. Into Bolt to Folkes, who drives, doesn't really time it. He's bobbling back down the pitch. Bolt knocks it down. And there is no run. Yeah, I mean, the game has accelerated, hasn't it? So in a way, you'd think if this went 5 days, then it started dry. You'd think spinner. I mean, both sides picked a spinner, didn't they? They might come into play more, but it's been a seamer pitch, really. So yeah, I mean, they'd love to have had Wagner out there this morning. Bolt bowls, turned away by Folkes, off his hip, nice looking shot. Out to Patel, deep back with square leg, one more run.
Well, what I like about Wagner in the New Zealand side is that he almost takes conditions out of the equation. So New Zealand have got a team very similar to England, a brilliant new ball attack. When the ball's doing something fantastic, when it gets a little bit flat and there's not a great deal there, then they start to struggle a little bit, i.e. same as England. And Wagner offers that out of the box kind of bowler that's just completely different. Players just don't face someone like that who just runs in his bowls bounces. So he takes away the conditions. It's just so difficult to face someone that's completely different.
Bolt bowls, Root drives straight to extra cover. Nice looking shot. Root hoping for 4 there, up to the grandstand, but he picked out the fielder on the offside. Just getting a fraction brighter at Lords. The lights are on, that's aiding the light obviously, but the natural light is a bit brighter now. It's really filled in the distance, northwest London. 237 for 5, 40 to win. So the end of Bolt's over. It's quite a luxury, isn't it, to leave out a bowler who's taken 244 test wickets at 26. Okay, he's 36 now. But
yeah, he's just so different to anything else that you face. You've got Trent Bolt, who's you're kind of orthodox, if you like, left arm seam bowler that gets it up there, swings, and Wagner can get it up there and swing. But when you're looking for something different, I just think he offers you a difference in your attack when the ball gets a bit older and there's not as much swing. I just think you can throw the ball to Wagner and he makes things happen.
Yeah, well, remember those old days of one-day international substitutes? Yeah. You feel New Zealand would love to do that now. Take one player off, i.e. Patel, and bring in someone like Wagner. But,
they haven't got Wagner and they should have used Patel better. He should have bowled quite a few overs to these right-handers.
Jameson begins a new over, bowls to Folkes with 2 slips in the gully in. Folkes turns it away into the onside, diving save at short mid-wicket. The substitute fielder Bracewell prevents a run. So the 3 pace bowlers, Andy, have bowled how many of the overs that we've seen so far? So we had 71 overs. I mean, they bowled nearly all of them, haven't they? De Grandhomme a little bit and Patel 2.
So 6 overs by a combination of de Grandhomme 3.5, Mitchell the 1 ball to finish de Grandhomme's over, and 2 from Patel. There's now the 66th over by the 3 main pacers.
It's a lot of bowling,
especially in back-to-back
test matches. Jameson bowls full, driven down the ground. A nice looking shot from Folkes. It's going up towards the long on boundary. South is after it. It's going for 4. There's the roar from the England supporters to greet another boundary from Ben Folkes. He's had a good half an hour here. takes him on to 22. England need 36 to win, and they're up to 241 for 5.
Yeah, it's a glorious shot. Just leans on it, full face of the bat, that messy bat that we were talking about yesterday. Needs a clean. It's the best shot in the book.
Well, he is in good form, or has been in good form in Championship cricket. Didn't have a great tour of the West Indies.
Oh, this is a big innings for Ben Foakes. If he can be there, not out at the end.
He's 22 not out. Jameson bowls to Foakes outside the off stump. Foakes tries to force that, doesn't really time it, goes bobbling towards Patel, fielding in the covers, and there's no run.
Yeah, Foakes since the start of this season now 415 runs, average 83, just out 5 times. The century in 250s for Surrey. Yeah. And to highlight how England have kept the scoreboard moving, there's only been 2 maidens in the last 34 overs, and both of those 2 maidens had leg byes in, so New Zealand haven't had a scoreless over for since the 38th of the innings. We're now in the 72nd.
Yeah, and that might be a bit of tiredness, but also Root's busyness as well.
Yeah.
Root 13 away from 100 at the non-striker's end, watching on. Jameson goes in to bowl a short ball to Foakes. Foakes ducks underneath it, does not take it on. Jameson gives him a look.
Andy, I'm going to try and get you to get a stat that I don't know if you can or you. I reckon Joe Root's one of the players in the history of the game that has had the fewest maidens bowled to him.
Oh.
He is one of those busy players that I don't see many maidens bowled to Joe Root.
Listen, you're going to get a day and a half off, Zoltz.
Yeah.
I'll see what I can do. And there's a stat that I look at sometimes, which is run rate excluding balls that are hit for 4 and 6.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
Which shows busyness at the crease. Jameson wide of the crease, balls full to Foakes, who finds the gap through extra cover, runs here. Williamson's after it. They'll come back for 2, possibly 3. Some relay fielding out there. Williamson underarms it to Patel. Patel returns to Blundell. They do get 2. England knocking them off here. 34 more required. Still 5 wickets left. Just making that dressing room feel a little easier.
So that statistic shows how adept a batter is at manoeuvring the ball around when not hitting boundaries. Looked at it initially in context of Joe Root in one-day cricket, when he's masterful at that, but also in Test cricket. So he has one of the highest scoring rates excluding boundaries. So, and we've seen that in this innings, just 7 fours out of his 87, but going at a good rate.
Foakes on 24. 34 to win. Jameson wide of the crease again, angling it into Foakes. Foakes lifts the bat, lets it go. And that is the end of Jameson's over. And it has been a very frustrating half an hour for New Zealand. They haven't looked like taking a wicket so far. And Foakes and Root have been in control.
You can see Ajay Patel just having a little look over his left shoulder to the skipper, as if to say, I am here. Kane just walked straight by him. Clearly he's not in his thoughts at the minute. It's going to be Southey to replace Bolt from the pavilion end.
So what have we had this morning in terms of the breakdown of New Zealand's bowling?
Southey bowled 1, 3 each for Bolt and Jameson, so 7 overs in total, in which England have scored 27 runs.
It's been an excellent morning for them, as good as they could have hoped for when play started, under a really gloomy skies with the lights on. But it's that new ball New Zealand want, and it might be they don't get it, certainly not in time anyway. Still 8 overs until the new ball. It's 34 to win. 5 wickets still for New Zealand to take. Here is Southey going into bowl to Root, full on his pads, clipped away down towards fine leg. Another single. Another example there of Root ticking the board over, although to be fair to him there, and that was a full ball on the pads. He would have been disappointed if he hadn't scored something off that. There are 2 men back, so not so easy to hit for 4. Root to 88, and England needing 33 more for victory. 244 for 5. Michael Vaughan has gone. Alistair Cook is here.
Morning, Simon.
Good morning.
Morning. Well, it's been quite plain sailing, isn't it, so far? I'm surprised the ball hasn't done anything, with these conditions.
Southey bowls to Foakes. That one keeps a bit low on the stumps, and Foakes is equal to it, playing it into the onside. And you wonder what this pitch is going to be like would be like on the 5th day, if 2 teams playing had been able to score more freely, or at least elongate their first innings. There have been some low balls, not grubbers, not ones that just sort of bounce in the middle of the pitch and roll on the ground, as we've sometimes seen from test pitches. There's that famous NASA same one in the Caribbean. It's always worth digging out on YouTube. Folks on 24, Southey bowls to him outside the off stump, forced away, nice looking shot, but straight to backward point. Stopped by Trent Bolt, and there is no run.
I was just wondering whether New Zealand could decide, well, we've had our little go at them now, can we hide the ball for 8 overs? Can we go 7-2, 8-1, throw it in the channel really wide, just to get through the next 8 overs the least damage as possible? What they've done hasn't worked. They haven't got the early breakthrough,
Southey to Folkes. Folkes is forward in defence, pushing it to cover. There's no run.
they haven't got the mistake for the England batsmen starting again. It's always hard the next morning to start again. That's their only hope, it seems, doesn't it? That new ball.
So what? Have 20 runs with the new ball, something like that. Bowl wide of off stump, 8-1 offside field, say, and make it really hard, really hard to score and to try to dry up the run. Save England. You want to take a chance until the new ball. You can, might get a wicket.
The danger, obviously, with Joe Root is he will tend to find, a way of scoring. But I just wonder whether that is a tactic that New Zealand could use.
Southey and again to Folkes. Folkes is forward again. They thought they got through there, but not quite. Folkes getting the bat down just in time. Pushing it up towards mid-on.
Southey has looked better this end, hasn't he, with the ball running back into the right-hander.
Yeah, that was it. Inside edge onto the pad there from Folkes. Just rather tentative on that front foot. But Southey's bowling the channel. Experienced, high-class bowler. The slope to work with as well. Moves in past the umpire, up to the stumps now, bowls to Folkes, full, driven, but straight to Williamson at mid-off, and there's no run. A couple of nice shots in that over from Ben Folkes, but straight to fielders. How many off the over? Just the one from Southey. Well, that's a little bonus for New Zealand, but still 7 overs until the new ball. 33 more required by England, route 12 away from 100. And the crowd at Lord's today, it's by no means a full house, but a decent number in. And I know a friend of mine said he didn't bother coming today, even though he had a ticket. He's a big cricket fan as well. I'm not sure why he wouldn't have come today on a day like that. You think he'd pop down for an hour, wouldn't you? But
well, it depends how far he's got to come.
Not that far, North London.
Well, no, absolutely. He's a chance to see history. Joe Root gets these 12 more runs and England win. 12 more for 10,000 for Joe Root and England win at Lord's. You thought it'd be worth the 20-minute taxi ride?
Alex Riding emails. He's sitting on a sweaty bus in Vietnam following the action. Not sure the locals will be too pleased with my reaction when, he says, we chase it down.
I like the optimism, I like it.
Slight delay. New Zealand just making England wait. It's Jameson with a new over. Moves into bowl to Root. And Root plays that very late, trying to guide it down towards deep third, but instead of that he finds gully, and there's no run. New Zealand couldn't have had a better morning, you think, on which to bowl, but the ball hasn't done a lot. But it's the rate at which England scored. It's been something we've been talking about throughout this second innings, is when the new ball is going to be available, how many runs will England have left to chase. And I suppose Stokes' acceleration, his aggression at times has been important.
And actually Joe Root's game management last night, he knew that. He knew when Ben Stokes got out.
Jameson bowls to Root, full, shot. Driven down the ground, more runs here. It's going up towards the long on boundary. Has it got enough on it? Yes, I think it has. It beats Southey, whose cap falls off just before he gets to the ball. Beautiful straight drive from Root, the best of Root, and he's into the 90s. 92 not out, 248 for 5. England closing in.
Almost a carbon copy, wasn't it, of the Ben Folkes shot last over of Jameson. Straight down the ground. Brilliant shot. And on drive as a batsman, what a feeling.
It's Joe Root's highest score in the 4th innings of a test. Now, beating the 87 he made in the 2013-14 Ashes in Sydney.
Yeah, it'll be something for him if he can score a 4th innings 100 in his first match after standing down as captain. No one ever questioned his ability. He's been in magnificent form. as the team struggles. Here is Jameson bowling, cut away by Root. Flamboyant fashion, but very well stopped in the gully by Conway. And there's no run. Beautifully played by Root, just rocking back and chopping it away, but too close to Conway. He gets a low 5 actually from 2 of his colleagues. Stopped 4 there. 29 to win.
Yeah, just going back to that game management, Joe Root. Ben Foakes got out. You could have easily said, well, I need to be there tomorrow. And if England needed, 100 runs this morning, that new ball would have definitely come into play. And he actually I think he scored 40 or 40 balls in that period. And he was, like he does, seriously low-risk batting, but it was that change of intent was masterful.
Jameson bowls to Root, who tries that back cut again. It's very close to off stump. He missed it. It missed the stumps, and the wicketkeeper dropped it as well. Well, he's got a smile on his face. The smile that says, well, I might have got away with one there. That was, I think, just about the first full shot we've seen this morning. It went past the inside edge. It didn't go past the outside edge with the angle from Jameson.
Yeah, just kept a little bit low, not that low. It was quite a full ball to be playing that, not quite wide enough to play that kind of run-down one-day shot.
The field comes up. Well, the square comes up anyway, with 2 balls left there. They clearly want to bowl at Foakes rather than Root, although Foakes has played very well. Root tapping away at the crease. Bat raised now. Jameson goes in to bowl to him, and Root nudges into the onside towards mid-on. And there's no run. Jameson going very wide of the crease there, almost getting in back foot no ball territory.
He bowled one yesterday, didn't he? He bowled a wide one yesterday. As in, was it called a no ball? It should have been, wasn't it? It was almost outside the popping crease, the line on the popping crease.
His foot is outside the line of the return crease.
Can your back foot be outside?
As long as it's above it, it's fine. If it cuts it, if it touches it.
I thought that just touched it there.
Yeah, well, it might have done. They might have missed one, but the foot was raised. It was a long way over the back foot. But it was some of it was raised, some of it might have touched the line. Here's Jameson bowling to Root, who plays that lovely, delicate sort of back dab, but again, brilliant fielding from Conway to his left, prevents a run, and Root stays on 92. Some intriguing cricket in that over, some skillful batting from Root, and some clever bowling as well from Jameson. 248 for 5. Foakes has 24. Root has 92. England need 29 to win. More from Zoltz or Alistair or both, and then it will be Isha.
Well, just on Root's facility at keeping the score ticking over, I mentioned that statistic of run rate excluding boundaries. So if you take out all balls hit for 4 or 6, Root scores at 32 runs per 100 balls. And of the 74 batsmen who faced 1,000 balls in Test cricket since the start of the 2019 English summer, that's the 3rd highest scoring rate when you take out boundaries, behind Niroshan Dickwella, Sri Lankan wicketkeeper, and David Warner, the Australian opener.
So he likes a rotation of strike, Joe Root, as Tim Southey is bowling from the pavilion end to Foakes forward and defending to the offside. No run, 248 for 5 then, England needing 29 more to win. They've picked up 32 runs in quick time this morning already, in 9 overs in fact, so going at a good clip with the second new ball available in 6 overs time. I wonder if that was a tactic that they talked about this morning. Good morning to you, Alistair.
I thought sitting up here wouldn't make me nervous. But for some reason, I'm feeling the nerves, even though it seems to be pretty comfortable so far for England.
Slip in the gully in position as that's pulled away by Foakes out to the deep square boundary. It's going to reach the fence in front of the mound stand. England edging closer, needing 25 more to win. Foakes to 28.
Yeah, an attempted bouncer from Tim Southey. He didn't get up, and Ben Foakes on this slow wicket had plenty of time to get on the back foot. He's absolutely nailed that. Probably about 40 yards behind square. No chance for fine leg. And the runs just keep coming. New Zealand can't stop the leakage of runs before the new ball, and I think the damage could be done before the new ball arrives.
Ajaz Patel being sent out to the deep square boundary now, as Kane Williamson is having a chat to Tim Southey at the top of his mark. Will he go same again, or a line and length? Here he comes bowling to Foakes. Good length delivery that he just tucks to the leg side, to mid-wicket, no run. I don't want to tempt fate, Alistair.
But you're going to anyway.
This is probably This would have been better for Simon Mann to do because he doesn't believe in all this stuff, whereas I do.
I do as well, so I can't believe what I think you're about to say.
Root is 31 years and 157 days old on day 4 of his Lord's Test. He's on 92. As Folkes is facing up to Southey, clipping it out to deep backward square for a single, moves to 29. He is 8 runs away from becoming the second England player to reach 10,000 runs. Do you know who the youngest to 10,000 test runs was?
I do know this, and this was pointed out to me this morning. The good news for me is that he can't break one of my records finally, he can only equal it. Should I text my mum and find out what time I was born? Are we going to go that desperate?
Yes.
Are we going that desperate to clarify? And what time I scored
I think you should. Can you please?
What time did I score my 10,000th run in Durham?
Southey passes stumps to Root. Oh, nearly chops onto the stumps. It's running away to the boundary. Really? That was so close.
I told you not to talk about this.
By a whisker. It beats the 5-leg fielder for 4. Root to 96. 20 more to win for England.
I knew we shouldn't have started talking about it, but that was the almost identical shot he played to Jameson where he missed it last over, that run down the third man against that bottom edge just past the stumps, and diving wicketkeeper couldn't get there. It takes him to 96, 1 hit away from an unbelievable 100 and an unbelievable milestone for Joe Root.
Well, the other thing is that he's never scored a 4th innings ton before, Joe Root, back and across. Clipping it out to fine leg as Jameson is round to collect the ball, come through for 1, moves to 97, Joe Root, 19 more to win at the end of the over. Crowd getting involved. They want to see it happen. 258 for 5, England. Yeah, of leading test run scorers in the 4th innings, the top 35, only Root and Gale haven't scored a century. Are you surprised by that?
A little bit. But I do think it's just one of those things. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, he's got the all-round game in every situation, in every condition, in every circumstance. So I just think it's one of those stats which has just occurred, and hopefully you can cross out Root and it'll only be Chris Gale. Not with those number of runs, but I don't like the fact we've been talking about it as much as we have the last 5 minutes or so.
Root's on strike now. Jameson bowling from the nursery end, bounding in to Root, who works the ball to a vacant mid-wicket. Comes through for 1, moves to 98. Just 2 away. As England need 18 more to win. A partnership worth 100 for these two came at a really important time yesterday. Folkes, they needed someone to stay with Root when Stokes left the crease, having made it to 50, and he's done his job, Ben Folkes.
He hasn't done his job. There's still 18 to go, and I can tell you who will be telling you that. Stuart Broad, James Anderson, Matthew Potts and Parkey. He has not done his job.
Folkes on 29, 2 slips in a gully. Jameson bowls, leaves it in the channel.
But it has been a brilliant partnership, hasn't it? And actually Ben Folkes this morning, you know, last night it was all about occupation, all about just not losing a wicket, all about getting through with Joe Root. How many times have England lost 1 wicket, then lost 3 or 4 over the last 3 or 4 years, it seems? And actually he came in, it wasn't about runs, it was about staying at the crease. Joe Root then took the mantle on of scoring. He upped his scoring rate after Ben Stokes. It's been a brilliant partnership.
Folkes guiding the ball to gully, no run.
Under some serious pressure. There's no bigger pressure of, you know, trying to win a game for England in the 4th innings.
Especially with the way England have played in the last few years with the bat and the collapses generally, the pressure that's mounted onto this England team because of their frailties and what's happened before and their vulnerability when it comes to collapses.
And absolutely the only way this side is not going to collapse is for people to stand up and be counted in those situations. and not allow another wicket to fall when you had a bit of a partnership. And Ben Folkes has done that absolutely fantastically.
The tall frame of Jameson in again, bowls a good length delivery. Folkes pats the ball to mid-off. Almost surprised by that extra bit of bounce off the pitch up the slope. That's where he's been so dangerous, Jameson, bowling that wonderful line and length. But because of that height, every now and then it will just rise up that fraction more. But also the ones that stay low, they're the danger balls.
Yeah, it's been a good cricket wicket though, hasn't it? It's been a little bit in it for everyone. If you got through that hard new ball, there's been runs to be had. There's been a bit in it for the bowlers when it has been harder, the ball.
Folkes this time guides to gully. Coming out right in front, that bat and hands. Almost feeling for it, but playing it down nicely. Yeah. Lights are on here at Lord's. Gloomy conditions. We came here this morning thinking New Zealand would believe just one wicket and they might have a chance to run through England. So far, these two, not only have they retained those 5 wickets, but they've scored at a pretty good rate as well, ahead of the second new ball. Folkes still in his crease. Gently taps his bat down. The blonde-haired Jameson in again. Pulls the ball, Folkes. Backward a square out to fine leg. Another 2 to the score. England needs 16 to win. Folkes to 31 at the end of the over.
Yeah, and he keeps Joe Root on strike, the crowd like that. I said at the end of kind of day 2, whoever lost this game will feel as if they've had opportunities to win it. And New Zealand had a couple of really good opportunities to win this game. So have England. That breaking that open yesterday with Stuart Broad, that 3 overs and 3 wickets in an over. It's turned this game in his head. England have had to bat really well second innings to get these runs, and they have done. But if England had lost this game, they would have looked at themselves and said, how did we lose from 12 for 4, 45 for 7, they New Zealand in the first innings. But the game of cricket has had absolutely everything. There can't be another twist, surely.
Well, the way the rest of this test match has gone, we were expecting that today for sure, but it's been all England so far. 16 more to win. Tim Southee will continue from the pavilion end. Joe Root on strike. He's got a backward square and a fine leg, slipping a gully in position. Root on 98. Dabs at the ball outside the off stump. Like listening on the ball as it's been given a shine now. Point in position, extra, mid-off, mid-on, and a mid-wicket for Joe Root. Where is he going to score these runs? He's been fairly proactive today. He's got a lot of dabs down to third, through the point region. He's played off his legs.
He'll find a way. He always does.
Southee past the stumps to Root forward and defending the ball solidly to mid-off. No run.
I'm sure he's trying to act cool now. He's trying to act calm, but inside there'll be some nerves, a little bit of anxiety. It seems strange when you scored 98, but with that milestone just hanging over him just a little bit. It took me about 4 or 5 attempts to get the last 100 runs, and looks like he's just going to do it in a match-winning innings.
Plenty of players dotted around up on the dressing room. Ben Stokes, Brendan McCullum. Root advances, clips the ball past mid-wicket, out to the deep mid-wicket boundary. He's coming back for the second. Joe Root. Another memorable moment here at Lord's. He takes his helmet off. He raises his bat to the crowd and he embraces Ben Folkes, the second Englishman to reach 10,000 runs, his 26th Test ton. And one of the greatest moments for him here at Lord's.
Well played, Joe Root. What a moment. I'm so glad I was here to witness that. An unbelievable knock, an unbelievable player. And to join the 10,000 run club is an extraordinary achievement, and to do it as well as he's done it. Without, in my opinion, England's most complete batsman in all forms. Can he just see the job done home now?
He equals your record, Sir Alistair Cook, as Root is forward and defending solidly back down the pitch. England need 14 more runs to win. 2 milestones reached. Another Test century, his first in a 4th innings in Test cricket, which is staggering. And making it to 10,000 Test runs. Kerry, his partner, standing up in delight and applauding with everyone else as Southee is in again to Root, again advancing, but this time just playing it delicately back to mid-on. Everyone up on the dressing room balcony as well, in unison, applauding Joe Root as he reached that milestone, kissing the badge in the process. 31 years and 157 days, equaling Alistair Cook's record as the youngest to 10,000 Test runs.
That is mad, isn't it? That is absolutely mad. That it's the same, exactly the same.
You're going to have to message your mum. Southee in to Root, back and across, flicking the ball down to fine leg. As he'll pick up another single. End of the over then, 264 for 5. England need 13 to win.
Yeah, Joe Root's 26th Test century came from his 157th ball with 9 fours. His 3rd against New Zealand, his 5th here at Lord's. It's the 9th of his last 13 scores of 50 that he's converted into a century since the start of 2021, having converted only 6 of his previous 32. He's the 14th player in all Test cricket to reach 10,000 runs, the 2nd English player after Alistair. Yes, done so at the youngest, well, the joint youngest age. We'll get the proper hours and minutes on that if we can. Yes, averaging now just 49.5 in his astonishing career so far.
I'm happy to call it a draw.
You took 11 more innings than he did, Alistair. And 10 more matches. So I think
he kick a man while he's down as well now.
He might win it on the tiebreaker.
No, what a moment. And actually the crowd just sensed it, didn't it? To do it at Lord's looks like to win a game as well.
Here comes Trent Boult, change of bowling from the nursery end. Root carries on his merry way, tucking away, deep backward square. So good in that region. The left armour bowling into the pads. And a bit of a hospital pass, you might think. They're hoping for him to try and break the game open, but England needing just 12 more runs to win as Root moves to 102.
Well, I just think the ability he's shown in this innings after Ben Stokes have got out, it just shows how good a player he is. You can't stop him scoring. It's so hard to stop Joe Root scoring, and runs just happen for that. It sound a bit flippant in one sense. He's just so hard to tie down in any way. He's got options all around the ground.
As Folkes clips this down to fine leg. Again, that leg stump line from Boult. He'll be frustrated with that as Folkes easily gets that away for 1, moves to 32, 11 more to win.
And they're all low risk. That's what makes him one of the greats, because it's all low risk batting. It's all on his terms, when he's in control of pretty much everything he does, and he just belongs, doesn't he? He belonged for the moment he turned up in India on that first Test tour in 2012 and he played that last game and got 70 odd.
Back and across, driving to mid-off. He's frustrated with himself on that one. I think it might have hit the bat, then onto the foot as he plays it out there. No run.
Yeah, he's very particular on his balance. I think he just fell over a little bit and just pushed at the ball, and he's, very simple technique in terms of his movements. And that's what he bases his game on. Simple movements, great rhythm, and he just knows when things aren't quite working. He can get it back very, very quickly. Played
forward, solidly defending to the man at extra cover.
Oh. So Root's 5th century at Lord's, as I mentioned. Only 2 players have scored more. Graham Gooch and Michael Vaughan have 6 Kevin Peterson and Andrew Strauss also have 5 on this ground. To highlight what you're saying, Alistair, 34 of 89 balls. At the moment, Stokes was out. And then to reach his 166 off another 68 balls. Just 6 fours amongst that. 24 of his runs in boundary. So, yeah, just they can't keep him quiet.
Joe Root driving. Trent Boult getting his left hand on the half volley and parrying it to mid-off, no run. Just delaying the inevitable, really, at the moment. Although, in Joe Root's mind, he'll want to make sure he does the job and gets England through. What a turnaround in this match.
It's had it all, hasn't it? It's had it absolutely every bit of cricket you'd want to watch.
Flashes of red from the soles of Trent Boult as he bowls full. Joe Root slices out to deep point. Wide, full one. And will come through for 1 as he moves to 103. Throw sent in, 267 for 5, then England 10 more to win. As he just raises his helmet above his head. He looks determined, Joe Root, the former captain. As the players take a drink. Lights on. Commentary continues on 5 Live Sports Extra and BBC Sounds, but Radio 4 long-wave listeners are leaving us briefly for the shipping forecast. A few more words from you, Sir Alistair. And then the great man, Jonathan Agnew, will be in.
I've never heard him described like that before, but if we're going to have to be nice to Aggers, nice to have you back,
I can honestly say I've never heard myself be described like that before either. Anyway, isn't it spooky that the exact same age, down to the day?
It's unbelievable,
that
isn't
you
it?
and Joe Root scored your 10,000 runs. It's amazing.
I mean, the text has been sent to my mother to see what time I was born, but you know, I just thought, you know what?
Yeah.
We'll share it. Let's just share it.
I think just share it. I think just share it.
Because I know I definitely born late in the day and he'll definitely win it, won't he?
Well, I was going to say share it unless you do find out that you were born early.
No, what an innings.
But I'll tell you something. We're lucky enough. We're following English cricket all the time. I've not seen that smile like that on Joe Root's face for a very long time.
No,
it was really emotional.
Well, it's an emotional moment, but to do it with 100 as well, exactly 100 in a match-winning innings at Lords, after all he's been through, I think, over the last couple of years, England captaincy, all the kind of bad cards he's been dealt as a captain. Actually, he deserves this moment.
Back to that fresh face again, which, you know, if you'd been in Grenada and you'd looked in his eyes at the end of that game, you thought, wow. It was gaunt. His kind of eyes were sort of a bit vague and vacant. You know, he just looked, well, a million miles away from that smile there when he scored his 100.
Yeah, absolutely,
So good to see.
and you know, word from the England camp is he's had that smile back this week. He's been a totally different guy, as you kind of would expect. You know, that smile, that the weight of the world does get lifted off your shoulders when you hand back the captain like he did. And it's a big moment in your life, though, when you suddenly realise that you're no longer England captain, because it is such an honour, it's such a great job to have, and you know you're never going to be England captain again.
But I'd think, conversely, people talk about, you know, how will that former captain be going back into the ranks, and will his presence make it difficult for the new captain, and those sort of things. But actually, if you look at you, look at Root, why not? You know, you can just, that pressure's off. You're just going to play better.
Well, you hoped, and I hoped Joe Root felt the same when I was around, that, you know, I wasn't a problem in the room. I was there if, you know, for advice if he wanted advice. Yeah. Obviously, I think Joe will feel very careful not to step on Ben Stokes' toes. I certainly felt that in certain times, and if I had something I wanted to say which is quite different to what Joe Root wanted, I wouldn't have said it. And I was very conscious of that, and I'm sure there'll be moments over the next little bit which Rooty will feel the same as that. But that's understandable. But I'd hope that, you know, I didn't have I do have a bit of an ego probably, but not enough an ego in the dressing room which would have harmed that. And knowing Joe like I know Joe, I don't think he would say he'll just be there for Stokes. He's there any question or anything he could help Ben with, but he'll let Ben do his own way. And do you know what Ben would want? Him to stand at first slip, take his catches and score hundreds.
Score loads of runs. Yep.
And we think he'll definitely score the runs.
In comes Southey from the pavilion end, and he bowls to Root. Oh, he's played a beautiful shot there. He left that so late, and then just leant back and ran the ball away off the face of the bat, through the slips, down to that vacant third man boundary. Beautiful, delicate touch.
Cheeky.
Isn't that a wonderful shot?
Lovely. Just to let it come all the time in the world, all the confidence. Just to wait.
Yeah.
Chunk.
They've been playing Test cricket here since 1884. It's the 142nd Test. There's only been 2 previous centuries in winning causes in the 4th innings of Tests here.
Southey again, bowls and Root drives him for 4. Between mid-off and the bowler, straight down towards the New Zealand dressing room. And England need just 2 to win. The crowd on their feet. And let's see if Joe Root here can complete it by hitting the winning runs.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
100 winning runs, gets England off to a bang start of the summer.
Well, they're bringing the field in, or at least some of the field.
Well, the game is up.
The game's up.
Yeah, the game's up.
England need 2 to win. In comes Southey, and he bowls to Root. Oh, almost chops the ball into his stumps. The second time he's done that today.
It's just with that angle of the pitch slope, just brings it onto you.
The only other 2 4th innings hundreds on this ground in a winning cause were Nasser Hussein's valedictory century against New Zealand, chasing 282 in 2004, and Gordon Greenwich's incredible 214 not
I
out.
remember that as well.
I can't forget that one.
I was sitting on the sofa as a baby.
2 to win. Root is on 111 not out. And Southey's on his way, and he bowls to him, and he hits him hard into the offside. There's a bit of a fumble.
He's looking for it, Rooty. He's looking to hit those winning runs now.
A yard either side of that fielder, and that was 4.
We were on next door, Haggers, weren't we? It was quite. I think I might have had a tear in my eye almost.
It was very emotional.
It was. You just saw that smile come back onto his face just naturally.
Absolutely. It lit up.
Yes, it did. All those pressures gone.
2 to win. There's 2 balls left in this over. In comes Southey. He bowls to Root, who pulls him into the leg side. That'll be it. 4 runs through mid-wicket, and Joe Root has steered England home. He's getting a big hug from Folkes, who has also played more than just a small hand in this partnership, which has seen England to this victory by 5 wickets. But it'll be all about Joe Root, who's played magnificently here. The first time that he's scored a century in the 4th innings of a Test match, but just more than that, is just a man who's been released. One of the best batsmen to play for England, well, since the Second World War for sure. And he's had such a difficult time of it. He's resigned the captaincy. And he's come out, he's just like the fresh-faced Joe Root of old. And my word, he's played well. He really has played brilliantly. And what will that do to that England dressing room, I wonder? A new start, a new coach, new captain, a new era. From rock bottom, from the very bottom of the pile. They've won a match they could easily have lost. It's been a game in which they've clung to it with their fingernails. In and out and in and out. And now Root heads towards the pavilion. The members are all on their feet. His helmet's off. Mopping his brow. And I'll bet there's a tear or 2 in those eyes. He's blinking them away. There are. He is crying.
Couldn't happen to a nicer fella.
No.
Well played, Joe. We all came in this morning, didn't we? We were a bit on the edge of our seats, as we have been for the last 4 days as well. I think the only one who wasn't nervous was Joe Root, the way he went about that. Wonderful innings for his country. Wonderful innings for his mate, sat up there as well, Ben Stokes. Calm as you like. I think you're right, one of England's best.
Yeah.
One of England's best.
There is no doubt. And the emotion there You can see a big hug there for Stokes and McCullum.
I told you he was a hugger.
You did. You did. And has given Stokes a nice, gentle man hug there. The new combination. But got off to their start by the old. It's funny how this game works, isn't it?
Beautiful story, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
What a story. Comes back, as you said, after having a torrid, 18 months, and just to do that shows a lot of character, that, and a lot of ability.
I can't wait to talk with him. He must be man of the match, and it'll be the first time that we've interviewed Joe Root in happy circumstances since last August. Which puts it into context when England last won a Test match.
Yeah,
seems incredible, isn't it? The first win in 10. That was against India, of course. The flogging in the Ashes. But it is a new start, and it's got off to a good start.
Well, it's going to be a happy dressing room, that's for sure.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to head off down there.
Go on,
see what goes on. I'm going to enjoy this.
Yes.
And then we've got the party this afternoon as well. It's a proper Jubilee weekend.
It is indeed.
England winning their first match for ages. And we can enjoy the nationwide celebrations this afternoon too. Tuffer, some thoughts from you, and Simon Mann's coming in here.
Well, I don't know quite what that roar was for. I think it was Joe Root coming out on the balcony to give the crowd a wave or something. But yes, what a Test match. Bonkers Test match, really. Bowled out for 130 a couple of times, and then a great fight back by New Zealand, and then England getting on top, New Zealand getting on top again, and then finished off today in superb style. He's some player, you know.
But a magnificent, brilliant innings from Root.
Oh,
so in control. I think
it was.
There's rarely a moment when you thought he looked like getting out.
No, focused. You could see it in the eyes that, you know, as you said, we were all a bit, if they lose one early. The most calm man in this arena was Joe Root, and he just went about his business. I got the feeling yesterday that when he sort of got to about 20, he said, right, I've got this, and I'm going to go about my work, ones and twos, put the odd four away, didn't he? But just that way he ran between the wickets, you just felt that he was warming to the task, and we can do that. I mean, listen, you knock off 270,
yeah, it's good.
It's good effort.
It's a good chase, yeah, definitely.
Good chase.
And another thing we said as well was that you shouldn't lose a Test match if you have the opposition 45 for 7. Well, and they haven't lost a Test match from that position. But I mean, what ups and downs they've been on the way to get there.
I think that now England have got themselves over the line. It'll be huge for them. If they hadn't, they would have been sitting there going, just as you said, crikey, O'Reilly, we bowled them out for 120. We had them 40 odd for 5, second dig as well. You know, that would have even made it harder to sort of like grab this team and sort of by the scruff of the neck and get them playing again. But that is a fantastic tonic for that side. Great for Joe as well, coming back after that torrid couple of years as captain. Listen, it didn't affect his batting, and it showed there. But great result for English, and great result for English cricket as well.
Yeah, a really interesting Test match to start the summer off with.
Otherwise, Jez.
Very hard to predict. Yeah, Jeremy Coney's with us as well to give us the New Zealand perspective on that. I mean, both sides had their opportunities in this game. There's no doubt about that.
New Zealand made loads of errors in this match, and it was still relatively close.
Yes, bit rusty.
It was in terms of Test match standard, it was a very poor test. Yeah. But let's just leave that to one side for a second. Well done, England. That's the first thing I would like to say. In a way, I'm quite pleased because it's a small cricket community and we can't afford to have England losing so many matches. And it's good that England will get, I think, a fillip from this, and who knows what will happen from here. As far as this morning is concerned, Simon, I thought what an anticlimax, actually. Everything, the portents were for a nice, compelling finish. They had to get someone like Root out very early. That didn't happen. He's such a good high-quality player, and he plays with such a base and cardinal tenets of orthodoxy. He plays the appropriately flowing ball to the delivery he's presented with, like a meal. They bring it out, and he munches it. And so I just think it's nice that someone like Joe Root was able to play the way he does. I mean, as it happens, The change of ball yesterday didn't suit New Zealand. It did nothing. They tried to change it 3 times today. They didn't bowl a maiden today. They didn't even try and get any pressure built up today. The Grandhomme error yesterday was quite severe in the context of what we've just seen. That could have been changed quite a lot. And the fact that he was absent today when the 3 bowlers couldn't bowl, I think is quite a thing. But I thought the relationship between the fielders either side of the wicket today weren't changed at all. They stayed stoically 5-4 fields, which begs straight bowling, and they didn't bowl straight. It begged belief to me to see the lack of control of those 3 bowlers, and they just couldn't do anything. And for me, that was a really poor part of the game.
It's tricky though, Jez, isn't it? When you've got about 50 or 60 and you've got someone like Joe Root, you go up there. I know what you're trying to...
Well, you put Joe Root at the other end. The problem was that Folks kept on scoring runs.
Correct.
Because the bowling was so inaccurate. So, but I mean, I don't want to take... comments away because of the England win. I don't, but that was the fact of what I think we all saw, and we're kind of nodding, aren't we, at each other to say that's what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, but well done, England. I mean, that's a great start for this new little whatever they call it.
Yes.
Resets and blank canvases and Jackson Pollock canvases. It doesn't matter what it's called. It's good for the cricket community to see this. It's not great for New Zealand. I mentioned early on in the commentary that I felt that this side was over the crest. They breasted their tape, if you like, at Southampton, and a lot of things obviously need to be addressed. Yeah. So that's the New Zealand perspective from me. Others may feel differently. I don't know.
I always enjoy test matches and matches with New Zealand. I don't know why we don't have a few more, really.
Well, there are 2 more to say that now.
Well, no, 5 minutes after you've just beaten us. You gave us a good stuff in last year, didn't you? So, but they're always good, sort of like tussles.
They get on well together. Yeah. I mean, it's a nicely fought. Yeah, it's the way it should be played.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, there are 2 more tests to come in this series, and we'll bring you the second game on Friday from Trent Bridge. We'll be on air at 10:25. We'll get some reaction from the far side of the ground. Jonathan and Michael have made their way to the far side of the ground. We'll hear from the 2 captains. We'll hear from Joe Root as well, who must be the player of the match. Wonderful innings. He just switched on 115 not out. A stand of 120 for the 6th wicket with Ben Foakes. There were so many opportunities for both sides. That de Grandhomme run out yesterday. De Grandhomme's day yesterday, actually, almost swung the game. It did. Helped to swing the game England's way. The no ball, the injury, and then, of course, the fact he wasn't able to bowl, and the fact the others had to bowl. Right, OK, we can go to the far side of the ground now and join Jonathan and Michael Vaughan. I'm
just wondering if we might get a chat with Kane Williamson here, who's coming very much into range, and he is. Hello, Kane. Thanks for kicking it all off. Well, how do you assess that this morning?
I mean, we were certainly hopeful if we could get a breakthrough early and then get the bowlers out there, then, there was a lot to play for, and, it wasn't to be. And, like someone like Joe Root, obviously a very difficult man to dismiss, and played outstandingly well and scored an amazing 100. So, credit to England. But, it was... on a bit of a knife edge, we felt, and obviously we had some opportunities there, and wasn't quite meant to be. Yeah.
Soft ball, you're obviously trying to get rid of it. I mean, it might have been different if that ball had been newer and harder.
Right over the stands. Look, it sort of was a reflection of, both teams' innings. I think throughout there were a lot of similarities, and clearly the harder ball reacts, a little bit quicker and makes life a little bit more difficult. And as it gets softer, it's a slightly different, plan of attack, and there's a patience game to play. But, so we weren't able to get that breakthrough, which was frustrating for us. But, all in all, it was a very good game of cricket. Just, a shame for us that we weren't on the right side of the result.
Let's talk about Joe Root, who obviously we've seen a lot of over the last 18 months, really having a tough time as captain. He looked like a fresh-faced youngster again out there when he got that 100. Yeah,
look, he's been batting incredibly well his whole career, really. But the last sort of period of time, 18 months or 2 years, he's been, absolutely prolific, and showed his class again today. And to bring up 10,000 runs is really quite a special achievement, and in so many respects, longevity, quality, all of the above. So such a special player, and a tough man to dismiss on the opposition side, but an incredible innings from Joe.
We'll see you at Trent Bridge. Thanks, Kane, very much indeed for all the entertainment of this match. I can see Joe Root, he's already handling his medal over there, and Ben Stokes, of course, England's captain as well. They'll have the official presentations. Michael has to wait because, I've got to be honest, I'm really looking forward to this. Hey, Joe, we've had some tough interviews over the last 18 months or so.
Yeah, we have.
You look like a new man.
Yeah, I feel good. It's a nice feeling. Hell of a game of cricket.
Yes.
And actually, for it to be in Warney's memory, this test match, the way that it's been played, two sides been really aggressive, everything that he spoke about, how he liked to see test cricket played, I think it's been a really nice way to remember such a figure in our sport. So I think it's quite fitting in many ways.
Yeah. You're very emotional. You're emotional coming off. How did you feel?
I felt great. It's obviously been a long time since we've won a test match, so it meant a huge amount to the group. It was nice to do it for Ben as well. The amount of times he's did it for me over the years, it's nice to give a bit back to him. So really pleased for him to start the way he has done, and it's an exciting time for the team. Of course, there's things we can look at, but we should enjoy this, really enjoy it, because it's been a long time, and it just shows how important days like today are.
Yeah. Do you in any way sort of feel a bit more liberated without the captaincy? Yeah,
I just love batting. So, I'll just keep trying to love batting and try and score as many as I can for the group. And it was nice to do it so early on in the summer, and hopefully I can carry that forward like I did last year.
Alistair Cook's busily looking up the time that he was born, because you know that you and he are exactly the same day to the youngest people to 10,000 runs.
I've just been told that. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? But
I think you're 10 past 12, so there might be some bragging rights if he's after that, which he might be apparently.
Look, it's just nice to be spoken about in the same breath of England's greatest ever batter. So very privileged.
How about the significance of your first fourth innings Test 100 to actually win a game from there? What does that mean?
Well, like I said, it was. There's been a number of occasions where guys like Ben or Stuart or Jimmy, throughout my time as captain, managed to do something special to win us a game. And more than anything now, that's a big driver and motivator for me, is to try and do it for him and for the rest of the group. And I didn't even know that was the case, to be honest. Didn't feel like fourth innings because of how quickly the game's sort of gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice.
Okay. And a quick word about Ben Folkes too. I mean, he just played perfect second fiddle there.
He did, yeah. Really, really nice innings. It's just exactly what we needed, someone to soak up a bit of pressure on occasions. And the great thing about it was they were trying to attack him and defend against me. It felt like we were able to manipulate the strike quite well and actually force a few more twos and get the board moving quite freely. And it's always difficult having been there myself as a captain to manage that sort of situation if you get it right as a batting side. So it was brilliant to see him perform like that under pressure. Shows what character he is.
Enjoy the day, Joe. Lovely to see you. Cheers. Well done. There we go. There's an emotional Joe Root, Michael.
Yeah, I mean, understandably, he's gone through so much, but he was pretty good with the bat as a captain. So, he's just got this amazing ability that, when he walks out to bat, and that was with the captaincy as well, he's been as good as anyone at just clearing out the noise. All the noise, external pressures that comes from being the captain, being the senior pro. Going out there this morning, yesterday afternoon, when the pressure's on, the team have not known how to win. 1 in 10 games, you forget how to win games. And even though he's a great player, he's been a part of a group that's not managed to get over the line. And just the way that he can, I always talk about this inner zen as a player. He's just got the most amazing calmness and ability just to play the ball and just continue in this, kind of very uncomplicated method. Makes it look so easy. Goes both sides of the ground, front foot, back foot. A nightmare for an opposing captain to set fields to him, because he just rotates the strike and manipulates the gap so perfectly. He must be a joy to bat with. You know, I batted with lots of good players, but he must be an absolute joy because he's always ticking. He must be very positive in terms of the words that he uses. That was a great innings. You know, we've seen him play lots of great innings, but to do it under that pressure when your team have not been winning, you know, when you've just relinquished the captaincy. His good mate Ben Stokes is now the skipper. That was a lovely line when he said that, you know, Ben's done it enough for him. I want to give a little bit back to Ben. That's the kind of guy, and Allison was tremendous when he gave up the captaincy and went back into the ranks. And I think Joe is that same personality that it doesn't really matter that he's not the captain. He's the senior pro, the senior leader, the best batter. I think he's the best player England have ever had. You know, I really do, across all the formats. There's been some great Test match players. Josh Buttler, for me, is the best white ball batter that we've got and never had. But in terms of a player that can play all the formats, we haven't had a player like Joe Root, and he's still so young. He's still got much more to give. He's still hungry. You know, and I think Brendan McCullum, as the New England coach, will realise that, you know, Joe Root is special. You know, he's got a special captain now in Ben Stokes. Great characters that England have in terms of, you know, Stokes, Root, Anderson, Broad. Some real high-class cricketers, and that's why it's been amazing that they've not been winning, you know, at least competing. And now they've got that first victory, and Ben Stokes starts off with a win. It means so much as a captain when you sit in that dressing room at the end of the week and you've got a win. It gives you I know Ben's a really confident guy, and he's dealt with it brilliantly so far, but to go back to his room tonight knowing he's won, that'll give him a massive lift.
Yeah. And it will. I'm just looking at the scenes in the dressing room at the time, and the hug between him and McCullum. I mean, it is a perfect way to start by turning it around and by winning the first match.
Yeah, and I don't want to be negative about the old regime, but I don't think England would have won this week with the old regime, because there was so much happened and there seemed to be a lot of negativity. Now, Brendan wouldn't have done a great deal this week, but what he would have done would have been very calm, very calculated. This team now know they've got, you know, a bit of a legend in their ranks, you know, coaching them, being around them. I can't imagine he's done much coaching. You know, I can't imagine he's been in the net saying to players, oh, you must do this, you must do that. I reckon he's just been around them talking positively in a sensible way. I bet you when England had that collapse on day one, I bet you he's dead calm in that dressing room. I bet you didn't panic too much. And that's what this England side need. They need a bit of calmness. You know, what have we learnt? They've got to win. That's the main thing. But I don't think we've learnt a great deal. I was
going to put that to you. I mean, apart from Matthew Potts, and we must mention that innings again of Ben Folkes, who played very calmly, very responsibly there. But otherwise, I'm not sure what we've learnt about the obvious candidates.
Yeah, the Test match team has been reliant on Broad and Anderson moving the ball around, and when they do, it's, you know, it's as hard a combination that you can face in Test match cricket. You know, in Joe Root, Ben Stokes, you've got two world-class characters, players that will get you over the line. You know, away from that, you know, the batting is still a huge problem, and when the ball's not swinging, it's going to be an issue for this England Test match team. But it's amazing what a win can do for a group. You imagine today now if England had lost. You know, that top three who haven't had a great week. They've looked okay, but they haven't had a great week. They haven't got the big numbers. There'd have been a lot more pressure going to Nottingham on those young players, setting out, looking at that second test if they were 1-0 down. Now they're 1-0 up. You know, it just gives everyone a lift, and it'll hopefully give those younger players in the side a boost that they've been a part of a Test match team that have won. They haven't won many games. A lot of those younger players have not been known to be around the Test team that have won. So to get a win, it should give them all a huge boost.
Yeah. Well, I hope they enjoy this afternoon and this evening. I think Ben Stokes, who's being interviewed at the moment, said something popular there, because he got a big cheer. He'll be coming to talk to us in a second.
The biggest cheer was about half an hour ago when the game finished, and on the screen behind us, it stated that if there was less than 15 overs bowled today, you get a full refund. And I think there was 13.5 overs. So everyone that's in the ground today, it's for free.
10,000 runs, England win, and everything else. It's a freebie. Well, that's fitting as well, being the Jubilee weekend, isn't it? I mean, an interesting talking point as well, waiting for Ben, is does Jack Leach play on, if he's fit, at Trent Bridge, or do you go with Parkinson? It's a bit of a sort of a strange situation, that.
They decided upon Jack Leach, and if Jack Leach is fit, the selectors made the call that Jack was going to play here. I think they've got to stay consistent to that. If Jack Leach is fit and ready to go for Nottingham and they feel that the conditions are suited to have a spinner in the team, I think from the decision they made a few days ago, I don't think Parkinson quite did enough in that. I mean, it was hard for him. He was having a barbecue, wasn't he? He was about to crack open a can. Well, all of a sudden he had to drive down here, so it wasn't easy for him. But if Jack Leach is fit, I think they should be consistent and go back to him.
Yeah. If you're just joining us, England have won this match, and they did it with no alarms at all, really. They didn't lose a wicket today. They knocked the runs off thanks to Joe Root, who I'm looking at now, is holding a magnum of champagne. He's got the man of the match medallion around his neck, and he scored his 26th Test century. He reached 10,000 Test runs while he did it, and that is no mean feat. There are not many Test batsmen in the course of history who've done that, and he did it at exactly the same time, exactly the same age. 31 years and 157 days as Alistair Cook. Now, after quite a lengthy interview, I think we may well... Ben's walking past. No, we'll catch you in a minute, Ben. He's going down that way. Okay, and so we'll catch Ben. We'll catch Ben in a moment. Well, yes. Usually live broadcasters go first, but that's obviously not the case at this time. Never mind. We'll keep chatting along. His innings, obviously, yesterday, really did turn things around, didn't it? The momentum of the innings.
Yeah, he did. Well, you can just listen to the Roots being cheered around the ground. I don't think he was at his best yesterday, Ben Stokes. I thought he came out a little bit frantic, but the character of the way that he plays, it was almost if he wanted to show that he was going to try and do something different. He had that little bit of fortune with Colin de Grand on bowling in the no ball. So you do need that bit of fortune, and just maybe England, if you had to look at the odd thing that went their way this week, maybe they've earned the right to get those little bits of breaks in fortune. But Ben Stokes as a captain, I always looked at Pat Cummins when he took the captaincy. I was like, you're making it look far too easy. I know there'll be tougher times, there always is as an England captain, but I have to say Ben's made the job look very, very easy. He spoke brilliantly before the match. I know that he's done a lot of work with the players behind the scenes. I know he's been speaking to them all individually. And all I know again it's early, but all the fear of an all-rounder being the captain because of Freddie Flintoff, Ian Botham, but we shouldn't be looking at that. This is a different person, a different human being. He seems ready. He's very calm, controlled, and what he's got is a number 4 who's up there with the greats of the game. Yeah. And when you've got players like Joe Root and you've got Anderson and Broad back bowling with the Duke ball in these conditions, captaincy, I don't want to say it's easy, but it's quite nice when you stood at mid-off and you've got those two charging in. And, the big call this week, I guess it could have been quite easy for them to play Craig Overton. But they went with Matthew Potts, someone that Ben knows from Durham. I think he had a birthday dinner with him last night, I saw on Instagram. So he'll know him from playing for Durham, and they went with the young kid. I really like that. They went with a young bowler, and he stepped up to the plate. He looks like another England bowler. We've got so many bowlers that are injured, but Matthew Potts is now a part of that group that he's looked like he can cope with the pressures of playing for England. The big crowd, playing at Lord's is never easy because it can be quite difficult to deal with the whole occasion, but Matthew Potts just looked like he was ready to play. So that's another bowler that England can put into that pack. They still need pace. The cartel of Matthew Wood, Jofra, Ollie Stone, Saqib Mahmood, there's Ollie Robinson, Chris Wood, but particularly Wood, Jofra and Ollie Stone. England needs somehow to get some pace into this attack, and it's not going to be happening over the next few Test matches because they're all out for quite a while, but I think Ben will realise and know that the attack does need that little bit of a point of difference.
Yeah. I think the reason that Ben Stokes took Potts out for that birthday supper last night was to relax him. He didn't want him sitting in his room by himself, worrying about batting today, which is why he took him out last night.
Well, again, I think what Ben has is, I think he's got that empathy of knowledge and know-how of what it's like to be under pressure. And I think when you're a captain that's been the great player, won big situations. He's also been a little bit in the naughty corner at times. I think he's all-rounded, so he knows exactly what all the emotions are as a player. He knows as a younger player when you're going to sleep at night, in a situation that England found themselves last night when Matthew Prott's thinking, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to have to try and get 20 or 30 runs in the morning. He was in the nets at 8:30 this morning, Matthew Potts, though. Ben, I think in terms of managing that individual and then obviously the whole team as a whole this week, he's had a fantastic week as a captain.
And what about New Zealand? I mean, we can't write them off. It's only one. There's one test. There's two to go in bowler-friendly places too. Trent Bridge and Headingley. You certainly can't write them off.
No, I think this week they were always going to be rusty because they've not played a lot of cricket, and that's why I thought it was important that England won this week, because I think New Zealand will get better. I think Kane will be better for a little bit of time in the middle this week. He's not been in any kind of form. So we know with New Zealand, we've seen it in the Test match, they've got great character and will try and bounce back. I'm intrigued to see how this England team go from this, because we've seen in the past when they've got one win, they can sometimes arrive the week after and the week before's work goes to waste inside a day or so. So they've got to really build on this. That batting is still the precarious one that we all look at and think, if you take Joe Root's runs out of this England side, it still looks a massive concern, and all the rest of the batsmen. Johnny Bairstow at 5 had a poor week for Johnny Bairstow. He played well and then plays in a fashion this week that you go, come on Johnny, you're better than that. You don't need to be playing so expansively. You've got a good technique, you've got a good defence, just give yourself more of a chance. And obviously that top three of Lees, Crawley and Ollie Pope at number 3 for the first time. He'll have learnt from being out there first wicket down for the first time in his career, but there's still question marks, but they've got the win.
And I guess it does buy a bit of time for those question marks, doesn't it? I mean, yes, people are going to still talk about Ollie Pope at 3 and Alex Lees and his batting techniques, and you can see all that being discussed, but with a win, at least that's kind of almost an afterthought, as it were, rather than being a main focal point.
Yeah, someone like Alex Lees, I hope he looks at his second innings method and it just looked more simple. It looked like he had options on both sides of the ground. You're going to get Ben Stokes finally. Here he comes, the skipper.
Excellent. Ben, well, how does that feel?
Yeah, good, isn't it? Look, it's always, playing at Lord's anyway, it's a special place, but to come away with the win, the way that the game sort of, just ebbed and flowed and no one really took, took the game away from either team. It's chasing 270 on a pretty difficult wicket with the conditions throughout the whole week pretty much being in the bowler's favour was brilliant, and obviously Mr. Dependable Joe Root there leading the team home, and amazing, and absolutely chuffed for him, and I'm just really proud of the way that the whole team operate throughout this whole week. With the ball, James and Brody. That morning yesterday, 49 for 6. That game could have ended up completely different if we didn't have that morning. And having those two back is it's a huge boost for the bowling attack. But just seeing the way that they approach the game, it's a real inspiration to obviously myself, Joe, and Johnny, and all the other experienced guys. But the younger guys, seeing those two run in with their knees up and getting the crowd going and changing the game for England, it's a really good thing to see.
Talk about Joe Root. I mean, clearly very well indeed. He was very emotional there, wasn't he? I mean, it's clearly been a very emotional time for him to relinquish the captaincy and so on. He's never lost his form in that time, of course, but to come straight out and score 100, and such an important 100, that obviously mattered hugely to him. Yeah,
well, I think just playing for England and winning games for England matters to him, and that's the most important thing for him is trying to influence the game as much as he possibly can, and walking off there 115 not out. He's won us the game there at a real important time, and obviously after stepping down as captain to come out and do that, just don't really have a lot of words for it, just because I know how emotional it's been for Joe over the last especially 2 years. So I'm just great to see him back, and I said it's not like the world's been lifted off his shoulders, but he just doesn't have to worry about it anymore. He's he just worries about him going out there scoring runs like he always does.
Yeah, which is just exactly all that you want, isn't it? Just leave him to his own devices.
Yeah, exactly. He's a world-class player, one of the best in the world, and one of the best Test match batsmen that England will have for a very long time, I think. 10,000 runs, joins an elite club, all these records that he just keeps on breaking. No one's really surprised because we all know how good he is, but yeah, it was great to see him walking off there, and you can see that he's very emotional about that.
And I'm sure you'll keep your feet on the ground and everything else. That'll be the message of the next few days. But a big hug there between you and Brendan McCullum. Does it feel as if you have kind of launched this new partnership in the best possible way?
Yeah, well, obviously getting off to a winning start helps massively, but we're not silly, and we do know that at some point there is going to be some times where things don't go well, but it's how we address that, the language that we use in that change room, because we know what we want to do, but we also have the understanding that things probably are going to go wrong. But the way that we operate today, throughout this whole week, any time that we got put under pressure, everybody did what we asked before the game started, is to always look at the positive option, be proactive, and just look to influence the game in your own way. I think the way that I came out and played yesterday was quite a obvious, actions speak louder than words. But yeah, just little snippets that I take out of the batting performance. Leesy, it's the best he's looked in England shirt, although he only got 20. Johnny, again, came out there and just put them straight on the back foot. If we had another half an hour, 40 minutes of him playing like that, then, the game was massively back in our favour. So I don't have any, negative things to say about that. It's exactly what we want, and for lads to buy into it straight away like that is fantastic to see. But it's something that we'll keep working on and keep striving towards.
Go and enjoy yourself, Ben. I suspect you will. And we'll see you at Nottingham. There you go, one happy captain. What a way for him to start too, and his birthday yesterday and all that. Final thoughts on what you heard there, Michael?
Well, what I heard at the end there was it sounds to me that these the engine rooms are going to get given a licence to go and try and influence the game and try and be aggressive, proactive. Look, it's going to be great viewing. I think the 3.5 days here have been a spectacular kind of test match for everyone. It's had a bit of everything. It's had some brilliance, but it's also had some poor stuff at times. And the one thing I say is that I do like positivity, and I do love the words of influencing the game, but you've also got to be smart. You have to be smart. You can't.
It's a fine line, as we've said it before, about positive and reckless, and we've been there before.
And this is why in that dressing room I think it's so important that you've got Brendan who'll be ultra positive, Ben's going to be ultra positive, but you also need someone next to him go, whoa, we also need to play smart. Johnny Bairstow yesterday did not play a smart innings. To not see off Jameson, to play that big drive, the last ball of his 8th over, that could have cost England the game. So if England want to become this side that goes up the rankings and potentially really questions the Aussies and the Indian side at the top of those rankings, they're not going to do that by just being gung-ho and being ultra aggressive. They're going to have to be very, very smart at times, and there were times in this test match that collapse in the first innings. All those wickets, the top 7, all real batsmen's errors. That's not smart cricket. So if they want to play this gung-ho style and be ultra aggressive, I'll watch it because it's great, and we'll rock up. And I've said for years that this test match team are well worth watching because you're never quite sure what's going to happen. It's brilliant, it's good fun, but if they want to be the best team, and really challenge for the top of the rankings, they're going to have to be a bit smarter at times.
Well, that's where I think we'll leave it down here for now. Michael, thanks for your thoughts, and thanks to everyone else for coming down and sharing their opinions and thoughts with us. The players, of course. It's a happy scene down here. Simon, I know up there in the dressing room, it's quite chilly, but at least people now they've had free cricket. They've seen all of this, and they can go and enjoy their afternoons as well. So back to you up there.
Yeah, Lord's beginning to empty. But those England supporters who are making their way away from Lord's today will be very happy indeed with what they've seen. A victory from England and a free day out. Doesn't get much better than that. Bill Tufnell is with me, and Alistair Cook is with me, and Andy Zoltzman is with me as well, and we'll discuss this test match for the next 15 or 20 minutes or so.
Back in time for a nice dinner, nice lunch. Why not?
Perfect timing.
It is.
Alistair, assess the degree of difficulty of that Joe Root innings when he came in and what he was able to produce.
Well, any innings in the 4th innings to win a game of cricket is tough, because you not only are you worried about your own game and how you play, there's the situation to play as well. In the first innings it's all about just getting as many runs as you can. Here Joe Root had, knowing that the pressure was on him, if he got out, England would possibly lose that game of cricket. He had to be there at the end. He had to manage the Ben Stokes situation. The game management was unbelievable from Joe Root there. When Ben Stokes got out, he had scored 30 of 80 balls. He'd let Stokesy take the dominant role in the partnership, walking down, all the chaos happening at that end. When he got out, he then scored 40 or 40 balls. He took it on. He knew the runs last night were going to be so valuable this morning. He just does it with low risk. And there is no better feeling as a batsman like that he's just experienced there. But forget about the 10,000 runs, forget about the 100. Walking off unbeaten to win a game for your side is a brilliant feeling, because it doesn't happen very often. Batting is a game of failure in general, and normally it always ends with a failure. He's walked off there, everything in control, and that's what it is. Batting is just about control, isn't it?
Yeah,
controlling everything.
He just peeled it off, didn't he? Really. I mean, as you say, those situations, I've been in those situations in the dressing room, and you're sort of all trying to cruise around, sort of thinking, we've got this in the bag, and everyone's, we all sit the same places, not to worry, the boys will knock it off. But inside, you're churning a little bit, and you know what can happen. I think the calmest man in this stadium was Joe Root. He just looked at a smile on his face. He had those eyes zoned in and just knocked it around. And it was a wonderful, wonderful innings to behold. One of his best innings. Listen, it was helped by that ball. They came out, as Jeremy was saying, it was a little bit of an anticlimax, wasn't it? Because it was just gun barrel straight, but still, the demons in your head and what have you, he just knocked it off beautifully. And well played Ben Folkes as well, who stuck with him and got that partnership.
The reason why it's so calm is because all his batting is so low risk, isn't it? His run making is just low risk. He's that good that
it's
a clip, and there's no margin of error for a bowler. If you go too straight, he never misses it on the legs once he's in. Bowling that channel, which you normally get a bit of reward for, he scores down to point a third man, and it's just in total utter control. That's what makes him a great.
Yeah. Absolute great. You're right. He is a great. I think he's becoming a great. I mean, we heard Michael say.
Well, let's talk about that. Yeah. Michael said he's England's greatest.
Yeah.
Ben Stokes said he's one of the best England has produced. Now, Alistair Cook, you made 12,472 runs. You are England's leading run scorer. Joe Root today becoming the second player to score 10,000 runs. How do you assess, from the top of the tree, if you like, in terms of run scoring, how do you assess Joe Root? Can you give it some context over the years, or is it too difficult to go back that far and say, he's better than one of the greats of the past?
He's the most complete England batsman I've ever seen, or played with, or seen in other formats as well. The only thing he ever changes is his tempo. He doesn't change his technique. I mean, I might have scored more runs than him, but he's a far better batsman than me. I had 3 shots really, and I ground my way through it. And that's not me being modest, that's just what it is. He can score 360 degrees. He puts the pressure back on the bowler, where I had to soak up the pressure, wait for them to stray. He has the ability to knock a bowler off his length, and all in absolute control. So it's not, in my opinion, it's not even an argument. The only little bit I've got above him, I did at the top of the order, and he had to slide down in the middle. That said, very much tongue in cheek.
Also, there's an issue of longevity here as well. You were able to get on the field for 161 Test matches, which is an incredible feat, really, to do that. He's played 118 Test matches. He's 2,500 runs behind you. Where do you see him going from here?
You just don't know. I never thought I'd have finished at 33, at 31, when I got past, exactly the same age he's feeling now. I thought I might have carried on a bit longer, but for whatever happened in my mind, and I felt it was the right time to stop. You don't know Joe Root at the moment. He's finding run scoring over the last couple of years incredibly easy. He never had the period I had of not scoring runs, so mentally he'd be better. But who knows? Let's just enjoy Joe Root for what he is now, with the new mentor of this England team. That's not too far ahead. Just enjoy what we've seen today. He could end up with 15,000 runs, whatever, but he is still, however many runs he gets, he's still unbeatable.
He just said in that interview, didn't he? He said, I just love batting. He just loves batting.
I think we'd all would if it was as easy as that.
Exactly. Well, that's the interesting thing, because Cookie, you're right. I mean, you're out there funny. It was tough going. You know what I mean? He makes it look such a pleasurable thing to do.
Absolutely. And I always thought when I got to 30, it normally took me the morning session. It was a grind. I got the old edge through and there. You're like, God, I've worked my socks off at lunch. I get my pads down. You look at the board. You got 30. If you get out there and you haven't done anything, like Joe, he look at the board after an hour, he's on 30, and that's more his skill. I'm not begrudging it. That's just his skill. That's just showing the different class and the slightly different player he is.
One thing you mentioned, about you don't know how it's going to go. No one knows. You said you gave up at 33 from the England team, and there is that sort of element of not being captain anymore, and what that feels like. Can you explain what that feels like and how much drive you've got left after you are no longer the England captain?
Yeah, it's certainly the initial bit is one of the great bits where, he'd have turned up today and yes, the weight of the world would have been lifted off his shoulder. The amount of preparation you do as a captain, the amount of thinking into every single last bit of detail, and kind of the dealing with the unexpected, like Stokesy would have to have dealt with Parky coming on when after Leach dived over there. Joe in this week, no talking to the media before the game.
Lovely.
Come up. The meeting he turns up to, sits there, all the stuff, all the planning. If he wants to listen, he listens. If not, he then goes to have his bat, goes out, he can have a drink. It's not relaxed. And Joe Root took the England captaincy incredibly seriously. He was meticulous. He was, he's always thinking about it. And here now, he can just experience that. The element of letting go is quite interesting. Now that control you have as the leader is a nice feeling, and because you feel as if you can influence it. So that's a slightly strange feeling. But if he keeps scoring runs like that, he won't care.
He's always scored runs, even when he was captain. To be fair, was it? So it's difficult to actually up that ceiling. But I think he's got the opportunity to do that. I think I can see Joe Root just enjoying his cricket again, and he said that, as he said, he loves batting. So he's just going to be able to do that now, completely free, and he did it pretty well with all the weight of the world on his shoulders. Now that's gone, I can just see another little level. And the other thing as well that I can see is Ben Stokes as well. I think he might just have another little ceiling to
because
climb.
He is the captain,
because he is the
on.
captain. Yes, because he is the captain.
Yeah. I suppose one of the points I was sort of driving at a bit, Alistair, and you can knock this back completely, is sort of the anticlimax when you're not captain anymore. Is there an element of that as a player, or is it you're still driven on, you're playing for England, it's still, you're still out there in front of thousands of people and millions of people watching on television, listening on the radio, whatever.
Yeah, I didn't experience that at all. So I will just knock that one straight back with a classic forward defence.
Well, he said it again though, didn't he? He said again in interview that Stokesy's done it enough for him when when he was captain, and so I think that could almost be another driver to Joe Root's sort of like run scoring ability. I think he could get a load more runs. I think he's going to make some bowlers really pay on some flat decks, I'll tell you, because you can't stop him scoring, and he doesn't want to necessarily go at 3, 4, 5 and over with these great big shots. He just ticks you to death.
Just happy milking him.
Well, the bare bones, he's the 14th player to reach 10,000 Test match runs. He's now scored 10,015. It was his 26th Test 100. Alistair made 33, but there's a lot more to it than that in terms of statistics. So let me hand over to Andy Zaltzman.
Well, yes, it's been a good game for stats fans, and obviously Root's 10,000 runs and that wonderful century right up there. As you say, the 14th player to do it, just the second for England. His first fourth innings 100, which was a curious hole in his incredible batting CV. Only the third fourth innings 100 in a winning cause in 142 tests played at Lord's. You mentioned that that feeling of satisfaction of walking off in the fourth innings not out with 100. He's only the 7th England player to do that. Most recently Ben Stokes famously in that incredible Headingley test. Slightly less memorably, Alistair Cook 109 not out in Mirpur against Bangladesh in 2010, which maybe it's not a game that all England fans talk about. But Root, what's interesting with Root is his conversion rate.
That's all you've done, Stokes. Absolutely nailed me all day.
Still a match-winning 100. It's a short list. Since the start of 2021, Root has reached 50 13 times and converted 9 of them into centuries. Over the previous period, so from November 2016 in India, he'd only converted 6 out of 38 half-centuries into hundreds. It had been a feature through his career, the fact that his conversion rate was pretty low. And since the start of 2021, the rest of England combined have made 36 50-plus scores, but only converted 5 of them into hundreds. So there's been so many stats the last couple of years illustrating England's dependence on Root, and that does so, I think, fairly strikingly. In terms of this Test match, a bizarre game, both sides out in under 45 overs in the first innings. That's only the 6th time that's ever happened in a Test match, and only the 2nd time in England. The other was a game, again, we might not remember too well, against South Africa at Headingley in 1907. And New Zealand's top 4 all out for 15 or less in both innings. It's only the 2nd time England have dismissed an opposition top 4 for 15 or less in both innings. The other was 1888 in Sydney. So there's been a lot of stats, Simon, and kind of bizarre but captivating game.
Yeah, a really strange game of cricket, really, with those two low first innings scores, and England chasing 277 to win the game. They finished on 279 for 5. We didn't need that second new ball. It was all over in 78.5 overs. I've still got Alistair with me. Jeremy's here as well.
Sorry, I switched off after Zoltz had been nailing me the stats all day. So
Yeah.
Well, you're still.
It was thrilling, though.
You're still top of the tree, Alistair. You've still got those 12,472 runs and 33 Test match hundreds. No one, not even Zoltz, can take those away from you.
He's trying.
I'll hack into a database, see what I can do.
But for how long?
Not long, Jeremy. Not long.
Just one quick thing, maybe Jeremy can talk about. Kane Williamson, he's only played 4 tests in the last 18 months.
Correct.
Only 174 runs in those games. We saw him looking out of rhythm. So how big a concern would that be for New Zealand?
Oh, I think a great deal of concern, because he's such an important component really to the New Zealand side that we look to him, and I wondered that's why should he bat 4 and put Conway at 3, but they're both actually just returning and both look rusty, don't they? The one positive thing is that every innings the number of balls that they're facing is actually increasing, so it's heading the right way, but it is of major concern, I think, for New Zealand to score good runs. I think those two players that I've just mentioned, really the onus is on them to get the bulk of those runs.
I mean, I find it mad that Conway's batting at 4 as an opener. You know, he's had his whole life at opening. He's had most of his Test success at opening. I would find someone else to bat in his position, and I'd get him at one of the, obviously being one of the form players over the last 18 months when he started Test cricket, double 100 as an opener. For me, he opens. I mean, okay. I'm not that worried about Williamson. Of course, his form.
They'll come right if they're keen, which they will be, to do well. Conway opened here as soon as Williamson left and was absent from various things, mainly for that chronic elbow injury. Conway slid to 3, and they seem to find this guy Young, who is really a middle order player. I think he's a middle order player still. He wants to hit the ball. Yeah. He's not a line player to let go first. So I've suggested that Conway should be opening or 3. Yeah. 3 because he's been doing it for the last few years, and he's got that, the other hundreds. He's averaging about 60.
As an opener, though, has he opened, hasn't he? That's where
he's been batting 3.
He's bat 3.
No, Young's been opening, you see, over the past season.
Okay.
And so he's been taking Williamson's place.
What do New Zealand do about Colin de Grandhomme then? If he's not fit for the next Test match, he's ruled out of this game with that heel injury. How do they rebalance their side? What do they do? 2 choices, I guess. The one, certainly an advantage they have now that Mitchell's had a bit of an innings, and Nichols will probably come back. He's been having nets and getting the calf into better position, so he might well be available. And the other option is this young fella Bracewell, who's an off spinner and a bit of a batsman as well. So left-hander and from Wellington, part of the Bracewell brood. So we'll just have to wait and see. But those are the 2 obvious options. And their bowling attack, do they mix and match a bit and change it round and rest a few? They've got Henry and Wagner to come in, haven't they?
I don't know what you guys feel about the 2 bowling attacks we saw on display here, but when you get in conditions where there's not quite the movement that you want, and it is a little bit, either from the surface or it's not swinging, both these attacks look quite one-dimensional, I think. And that's what we found with New Zealand when there was a partnership between Blundell and Mitchell. It was a bit the same, wasn't it? So I find maybe Wagner might come in as a possibility. Henry is a very good English-type bowler.
Yeah. What do England do? Unchanged? Is it as straightforward as that because you win the game or not, Alistair?
Yeah, I think so. I think Leach, if he's fit, will come back in, I assume. But if not, it will be at the same 11. They're talking about playing the best 11 to win games of cricket. They're not looking for the future. If this was the best 11 to win this game, then surely it should be for next week. Not much has changed in 3 or 4 days, you would have thought, if everyone's fit.
Alistair, Jeremy, thanks very much indeed, and Andy Zaltzman as well. We're very nearly done here at Lords. The lights are still on, it is overcast, but England got the job done today in double quick time, really. Brilliant 100 from Root, well supported by Ben Folkes. England over the line in 13.50.